You're now listening to the Sauce Talk Podcast. What up, everybody? It's your boy Al Siggity Sauce, and welcome back to the Sauce Talk Podcast. Today's guest and I formally met a little over a year ago for the first time here at one of my grid parties. Although, in our young adolescence, we have been within the same confines of the world's greatest, now defunct arcade, fun, and games, probably passing each other by almost every day without even knowing it. What initially intrigued me about him was his fond enjoyment of partaking in the recreational use of hallucinogenics. But I soon realized we actually have lots of the same obscure interests, anywhere from video games to gangster rap to our mutual admiration of the macabre. I enjoy having conversations with him along with his demented humor, and we will put that on display for you momentarily. Please welcome Thomas Johnston, a.k.a. TJ, a.k.a. BBW Finesse. What's up, baby?
How's it going, man?
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Little ice in there. Oh, this whiskey puts you on your ass.
Yeah, it's strong.
Lead in your pencil, hair on your peg.
Yeah.
The whole nine.
Actually, alcohol kills my sex drive, so.
Really? Whiskey dick.
Yeah.
It happens.
Pretty bad.
See, it doesn't kill the drive. Sometimes it could kill the rock solidness of it.
Yeah, that's the problem that I have. Yeah, I'll get like
the drive goes up.
Yeah, I get the wet mushroom in the beginning.
The wet,
turns
straight
into
wet
a dry
shroom
mushroom.
cap.
Yeah.
Man, so how you doing, man? Thank you for coming by. It's been a long time in the making.
Yeah, man. It's good to be here, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. BBW Finesser is probably my favorite name in the world. That's your in the fighting community. That's your name in there.
Yeah,
right?
the Fightcade, Third Strike. Yeah.
What made you think of BBW Finesser?
There was some girl from Detroit that added me on Facebook like 12 years ago, and that was her name in parentheses back when you didn't have to have the like real names on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then not long after that, I had somebody named Yellowbone versus Ashley add me on Facebook, and then like
I like that one.
Half of like Eastside Detroit was on my friends list for a while.
Oh
like,
my God!
I had a Country That Ain't My Problem, Kane, talking about where to buy the best weed. I've never been to Michigan in my life.
Same,
but I can tell you where to buy all the best weed in Eastside Detroit in 2012.
Jesus Christ! Well, shout out to BBW Finesser. If you see him on a Fightcade,
Third Strike.
So where did you grow up, TJ? You grew up in East Rutherford or Rutherford? Rutherford?
Yeah.
What was your childhood like growing up? You were there your whole life?
So I was there, and so I was in Jersey City originally, but then we lived in Greenville.
Ooh, the super hood.
Yeah, we lived in Linden Court, actually, right off of Linden Ave, but then we moved over to Rutherford.
Oh, okay.
My dad bounced in like 1993. With some like Polish woman, and
really,
yeah, I haven't spoken to him since like 1996.
Really?
Yeah, and then it's just been me and my mom, and then my grandma and everything over in Rutherford.
Oh man, God bless. Those stories always fucking piss me off.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. He actually, to describe what he looks like physically, he looks like the autopsy photo of Robin Williams.
Oh my God!
Which actually, the only place on the ClearNet that you could find it is on Pinterest under the article title 10 Robin Williams Ideas, and the actual photo that links you to the article is his dead body on the autopsy table.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
You're a sick bastard. Well, what a comparison. Yeah, my dad actually looks like the autopsy of Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's what he looks like.
Yeah, I hate those stories, man. They always get under my skin. I just had one recently with a guest that's coming out in a little bit. He talks briefly on his dad and stuff.
Yeah.
And I always, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was 3 years old. There's nothing I could do about that shit.
At least you had your mom, man. Moms are very important.
Yeah.
At least to me,
Yeah.
So do you have any siblings?
No.
Oh, so you're like me, only child.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How'd you like that? Did you like being an only child, or did you...
No, there's so that's actually interesting. I wanted to bring this subject up. There's my buddy that, he is a lot like me and like a natural curiosity. We read a lot. Like me and him, he's the guy that I was telling you about. Me and him will take mushrooms and like hit nitrous and shit for like 3 hours, talk about like foreign politics and like books that we've read, like while we're completely fucked out of our heads.
Just out of your gourd.
Yeah, he's like the younger brother that I never got to have. I really like him. He's a lot of fun to hang out with.
So did you think like when you were a kid, did you think about that a lot? Like you were like, I wish I had an older brother or younger sister, whatever the case may be?
Sometimes, but I was closer with my cousins back then because of our mutual interest in sports. I liked hockey and football, and I was good at football. So
okay.
like we would always play, so I got to hang out with them a lot because they lived in the same town over with my aunt. But yeah, I always kind of wanted a sibling, but it just wasn't in the cards really.
Yeah, I did too, but I don't remember me ever like getting like worked up about it.
Yeah,
I did enjoy my alone time.
Yeah, I didn't ever get like really worked up about it, but I guess I had like a network of people that made it not so like
not
bad,
so hard.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I actually lived in Rutherford early on in my life, probably like when I was born to like my kindergarten years, so like probably like 5, 6. And then we moved out, and I moved to Hawthorne in first grade.
Okay.
I was only there for like a year and change, and then I moved to Verona, where I lived in Verona from second grade all the way up until 2009. I was there the majority of my life.
What year did you move to Verona?
I'm very bad with timelines and years.
Okay.
So 90, fuck. I'm very bad, bro.
No, it's all good. The reason I ask is because I have a buddy named Sal who used to hang out with Gerard Way because they went to high school together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he lived in Verona, and he was like a teenager going to fun and games. He was telling me in like 1993.
Yeah, that's probably when I moved there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was a freshman in 2000.
Okay.
So yeah, probably
so
93,
he's
right?
a little bit older than you too, because he's like when I met him, he was like 39, like near his 40s.
Oh, okay.
But he's like a really cool guy. He's like really well cultured. And
what's his name?
Sal.
Sal what?
Salvatore Cercelli.
Where's he from? Again?
I
Verona,
think he's from Verona. I don't know.
But he moved, right?
He lives over in Belleville now with my friend Massimo, who you also might know. He used to go to fun and games. He's like kind of like a heavyset Italian dude with the glasses. He was good at like fighting games and shit.
Oh, I think I might.
He hung out with,
so blurry.
do you know Maynard?
No.
He hangs out with Henry and Miguel.
I hear that name, reminds me of Tool.
Okay, so if you ask Miguel who Massimo is and Sal, he'll know because he's hung out with me before. In fact, one time Miguel, he smoked weed for the first time in like 4 years with us on Sal's couch.
Uh-huh.
And then he had to drive home because he just started dating Chelsea at the time. So he had to get back. And he was like, I was like, yeah, are you going to be good to drive? He's like, yeah, as long as nothing funny happens on the way home. We all just started dying. And then, obviously he made it back safe. Thank God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. We got to look into that maybe. Because I think that's when I moved to Verona. Okay. I told you, like, I'm bad with mental math as well as, like, just thinking on the spot timelines.
Yeah.
The whiskey also bends my mind slightly. But yeah, it was probably around there, 93-ish.
Okay.
But I lived in Rutherford for a little short while, and I used to go back to that town every year because if you remember when they had that Park Ave flea market festival every Labor Day?
Yeah, they brought it back.
When?
Like, I think like 2 years ago.
No way.
Yeah, swear to God, I couldn't go. I had to fucking drive down that one-way street that was under construction to make like 3 rights to get to the place that I was trying to go because I couldn't go down Park Ave.
Because like when the pandemic hit, they shut it down. And I was like, fuck, that was my favorite thing. It reminds me of my mother because she took me there every Labor Day.
Yeah, there's also a carnival over the other side of the tracks that happens.
Yeah, I know that.
About a week after that I have to walk through every time I got to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, I remember that. Nah, I like the I missed that Labor Day flea market / fair was so good.
Yeah.
So good. And I remember like there's this one memory when I was a kid, not at the flea market, but there was a stationary Hallmark-esque store that was on Park Ave years ago.
It's still there.
Maybe.
They switched locations, but it's there, yeah.
In the window, I remember when I was a little kid, when I lived in Rutherford, they had a Gremlins Gizmo plushie, one of the original ones.
Yeah.
And I never got it, and I always wanted it. But Rutherford always has like a special place in my heart, especially because of that flea market. I found a gemstone there once. I found a brand new sealed. You saw Home Alone 2, obviously.
Yeah.
Remember Monster Sap?
Oh yeah. We had this conversation once before where I brought that up.
I got it there. That's
nice.
where I got it. It was raining out, and everybody was closing up. And like I go up there and I see it. I was like, Mom, I need that shit. I need that fucking thing. And she's like, how much? He's like, $10. We gotta close. I was like, all right, take it. But that thing goes for like $600,000 right now.
What?
$600 to $1,000, depending on the head, if it's new.
All right, I thought you said 600,000.
Oh, no. Like 600 to 1,000, depending on which head, because it was 4 of them that came out.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably better to get an alarm system. $600K to keep Harry and Marv out of your fucking house.
I would have sold that shit, bro. I would have sold that shit. So you and I basically were initially brought together because of gaming. Obviously, you came here. When did your love for gaming start in your childhood?
The first time I played Vice Project Doom on the NES when I was like 3.
Wow. I've never even played that.
Oh, it's a good game.
I've never played that. The Nintendo library is pretty big.
It's a, how do I best describe it? It's like Castlevania, but with slightly different mechanics.
Okay. Castlevania's tough.
It is tough. Vice Project Doom is hard too.
A lot of those NES games, short game as far as like levels are concerned. Like Ninja Gaiden's what, like 5 fucking worlds or whatever it is? And it's like god-awfully hard.
It's so hard, yeah. Fucking difficult as hell. But then you have like Silver Surfer, which is one of the hardest games I've ever beaten on an actual cartridge.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like Mega Man. There's like 6 different like levels that have 2 stages before you fight the boss.
Yeah.
It is one of the hardest games I've ever played in my life. Like there's stuff that looks like it belongs in the background that's like part of the level physics, and you're just one hit dead.
Yeah,
every single fucking thing. It's like a bullet hell like Toho game.
Yeah, those games are tough, man.
Yeah.
Super, super tough. What was your favorite console?
Shit. So it's difficult to say between the Super Nintendo and the PS2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The PS2 and Super Nintendo I guess would be tied for like my favorite console. It's just that the games, I don't know. And the controllers just felt so natural to me.
Yeah, the controllers, especially the PlayStation controller, is very nice.
Yeah, well, the PS2 was way better than the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1, like, it felt like, I don't know.
They're still very similar.
They at least, like, it feels like somebody sanded, like, they were like, what if we use sandpaper to make them not, like, so awful to hold when they made the PS2? And the thumbsticks are better.
It is better, even though it looks almost identical.
Yeah.
It is better.
It's way more comfortable.
I did a podcast recently with my buddy Jay Bam, and he's a big retro video game influencer, and we talked about this briefly. The Genesis has a special place.
Genesis is good.
In my heart. I mean, I had the Nintendo like you did. That was my first system, was a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Punch Out, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 2, which is incredible.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But the Genesis. There was something about the Genesis, even though it is the cheapest feeling system.
I know.
Super Nintendo's
felt like
quality.
A water gun. It was like a fucking water gun that you plugged into the TV.
What's that company that made the Super Soakers? Larimar or something like that? Yeah, it's very, very cheap plastic. But the games, though, like Vector Man.
Yeah, Vector Man was solid.
The graphics were ahead of their time.
What was the one game? Icarus Kid or something like that? Kid Icarus?
Kid Icarus.
Yeah.
And then there was Kid Chameleon's one of my favorite.
Chameleon, that was the game that I was thinking
Kid
of.
Kid Icarus, I think, is for Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah, it's Icarus.
Kid Chameleon.
Yeah, Kid Chameleon and...
The 1,000 levels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Sonic the Hedgehog, but who the fuck doesn't
The greatest beat 'em up of all time. Streets of Rage 2.
Streets of Rage.
Incredible, dude.
Actually, the first Streets of Rage is my favorite.
I like 2 the best.
Really? Yeah, a lot of people share that opinion. It has a better soundtrack.
Soundtrack's unbelievable.
I like how abusable the first one is, because you can just beat most bosses by holding down the jump button and just hitting the attack button with the girl, Blaze, I think her name is, and her hit. It's like Yun and Yang's Palm and Third Strike. It's active for like 3 hours, and it just fucking destroys everything.
Just constant.
Yeah.
Were there any memories that you fondly remember specifically when it comes to like the inception of your video game obsession?
The first time I ever beat Bart's Nightmare.
Oh my God.
On the Super Nintendo. That game is fucking hard.
Dude, the one for Nintendo was my favorite, the Space Mutants one.
Oh, yeah.
That's so goddamn hard too, dude.
Yeah.
Those games were unbelievable. That's like your earliest memory with that?
Well, I mean, as far as like being like super elated about it, like when I realized that I was like super hooked on it, you know what I mean? Because when I was 3, I didn't realize that I was like, hooked on this. This was going to be something that I was doing for like the entire rest of my life.
Yeah.
But, the first time I realized, I'm like, I'm never going to let go of this feeling. Like, I'm never going to get enough.
Chasing that high.
Yeah, it was that. When I beat that game, I'm like, oh my God. And then now it's just like, how can I figure out how to abuse the mechanics to do this? And it's been a lifelong journey. And then that led to my addiction to Counter-Strike that lasted for like 14 years. And
CS is wild.
Yeah.
Were you ever a Team Fortress Classic, dude?
Team Fortress Classic and then TF2. TF2 even worse, actually.
If I remember correctly, didn't Team Fortress come with CS originally?
No, that's if you bought the retail version.
Yeah, it came with it, right?
Yeah, if you bought the retail version, it did. But CS was originally a mod for Half-Life, so you had to have Half-Life.
Yes, you're right. That's right.
Download the mod and join a server.
See, I'm not a PC gamer, but my friends played those games, so I would always
Yeah.
Well, shoulder quarterback them.
In Rutherford, there was actually a place called not Cyber City. What the fuck was it called? There used to be a LAN center there. That's where I learned how to play Counter-Strike. That's like where I learned Counter-Strike even existed, because me and Mitch and Andrew would go there a lot and play there. But then the guy got caught selling coke, and then the place shut down, and we had to buy the game and continue our addiction that way.
Oh man! So speaking of gaming, I wanted to talk about a very important place in your life as well as mine. I mentioned it in my intro, fun and games. Before moving forward, I'll explain to the listeners that don't know what fun and games is, because I know most of the people that listen to it do know.
Yeah.
But obviously only if you're from this area.
You have to have been there.
You had to be there. You had to experience it. It's tough to explain what it is, but Fun and Games was an arcade at the Willowbrook Mall in Wayne, New Jersey. It was there from the late 70s, early 80s is when it first, which obviously I wasn't even born yet. And it lasted all the way up until 2007. I frequented there, and so did TJ. But I was there early, but it didn't really hit home until I got into, I'd say, high school in the year 2000. That's when I really started going a lot. And, that place was unlike anything I've ever experienced. All the people that went there, they always got all the Japanese machines before, everybody else did. They took requests. They fixed the machines there. I don't remember ever there a machine being down for like a long period of time there. Like it was always top notch, because Rich Corbo, shout out to my boy Rich, who I still talk to this day.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh, yeah. He fixed that joystick to the left of you. It required some wiring in the trigger.
Yeah, that guy was good, man.
Yeah,
he was good.
He still does it for a living.
Really?
House calls and everything. He's got a website. He's busy like you can't believe, dude.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He was on top of it, man. You're right.
Yeah.
None of those machines were down for long.
He
Even
kept
that horse
place,
racing machine. When
Derby Owners Club, the best. He used to breed horses and get like a rare zebra horse.
There's so many people that definitely developed a gambling addiction because of that game.
Oh, without a doubt, dude. Yeah. Without a doubt. But that place was very special. And with that being said, what does Fun and Games mean to you?
Fun and Games is the inception of me getting into fighting games, branching out and meeting a lot of like the larger competitive gaming community. I mean, I got good at DDR and In the Groove because of going to that place eventually. Yeah. And like I met a lot of different people. Like I met Rye there, Cody, as well as the
one that lives far away.
Yeah, as well as Catterman, who also used to live not far from him.
And now he lives by you.
Yeah, now he lives like across the tracks. Yeah, there's more people. Like me, Andrew, Jimbo, and Mitch. We all started in this arcade that used to be in Rutherford called the Great Escape.
Never, I never been there.
Yeah, well, they closed it down and now it's a Starbucks, but it was an Arby's for a while. But
I don't remember that arcade, and I remember a lot of arcades. I don't remember
that arcade was like it was like Fun and Games is like middle child. In a way, like they had a lot of really good games, but it wasn't run properly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the clientele would come from like, because Newark is not far away. So
yeah,
a lot of the people in the town voted against it because, Rutherford, they don't.
Yeah, they don't want the riffraff.
Yeah, they don't want the riffraff, yeah.
Yeah, Fun and Games was a special place, man. I mean, it was a place for everybody to be themselves.
Yeah.
To escape whatever issues you had going on at your house with your family. That was our escape.
It was fun. It was great. All the people that I met from different towns, like people from like Lincoln Park. Yeah, I met a lot of people from Patterson.
Yeah,
like North Patterson. I used to go to hang out with them a lot. All the time.
It's crazy.
And I mean, it was the culture. And for me, because I was a teenager, that was where I learned that I loved the Gothic style Hispanic women a lot.
That is a special niche group of women.
The mall rats, yeah. So I blended in with them and the other gamers and everything. So I always had a good time. I used to look forward to like Friday and Saturday.
Oh, dude. I want to cry just thinking about it, how special that place was. Like, it would get into a point where in high school, I would, after school, I would drop my backpack in my locker. I would take the 29 bus up to Famous Ray's, then take the 11 to Willowbrook Mall. And I would just be there all night. My mom was always busting her ass working like 2 jobs. So I'd go there after school. She'd pick me up at like 9, 10. I'd do it over again every day.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend, you'd be there all night.
Yeah, the weekend I used to, so every Friday I used to take I used to walk, I think like 3/4 of a mile across my town to get the bus by the Burger King over by the Winslow Motor Hotel.
Yeah.
The sign that fucking never works.
Yeah.
And I used to get on the 191 all the way to Willowbrook. So I would sit my ass all the way through Route 3, all the way through fucking Little Falls, all the way through like Wayne. And then I'd be like, all right, it's time to fucking play some video games.
Yeah, that was a special time, man. You know, it was so many different walks of life coming together. You know, dude, on a Friday and Saturday night, you pull up to that place and there'd be mob deep with like 150 people outside there. Yeah. All different cliques. Everybody got along for the most part, but all different cliques of the goths, like you said, the hippies with the hacky sacks, the fucking, you know, the bloods with the fucking everything.
Yeah, there's so many like people that were like in gangs that would just like hang out with like nerdy white kids and like enjoy. It was definitely like a unique crowd.
Yeah, it was a moment in time that could never ever be replicated, and it'll never happen again.
Probably not. No.
Ever.
No.
Everybody, dude, it was just you go inside, and it's not even that, the quality of games they had in the arcade. Yeah. You know, just the whole community of it. And like I said, it was a place where you can go, you could be yourself, totally be free from whatever you had going on, and you developed your social skills there. Yeah. And that's where you got together and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's how I found out that Grid even existed, because I used to play In the Groove. I used to see it in the back, behind the machine every single time I played.
That's right, because In the Groove was over the left shoulder, right?
Yeah. No, In the Groove was up against that, was right in front of that pole that my friend Ian punched the fucking hole in the wall.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, because he failed Vertex Squared, and he turned around through the carpeted pole.
The carpeted pole,
and he's like, I think I might have anger problems, and then like got a girlfriend and quit playing.
Jesus Christ.
The Grid used to be right behind the In the Groove machine.
Yeah, and then there was an MTV Drumscape for a little while to the right of the Grid.
Yeah, where my friend Jason used to play the fucking Drum Mania, and he was really good at it.
Then there was Daytona, right there too.
Yep, and then House of the Dead 2, and then 3 was a little bit further down. Yeah. And then the hacked DDR that had the square arrows instead of the default ones.
Yeah. I remember those days, man. And, you know, nothing. I used to love seeing, you know, when I got that diorama made for myself, and I got it, I kicking myself for not telling the artist to put hacky sacks on the top of the sign, because you know people would lose them all the time on the roof, and I was like, damn, I should have had those hacky sack signs. You know,
there's a lot of cool people I met at Fun and Games. Some of them decided to steal a bus every now and again, but you know, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a dangerous place. At the same time, it was a safe place. It was like you're caught in this weird purgatory. Like it's almost like you're in a different dimension, like layered with reality when you're sitting in there, because like you're safe, but there's dudes like to the left of you. Like I even got pickpocketed there, tried to.
Oh really?
Because I was playing the Grid. I would come there. This is my favorite game of all time, and I was playing one day, and there was this hood dude with a bubble goose next to me, and we're playing, and he stops playing, and he's just watching me play. But I notice his energy is off. Okay. Like, why is this dude that close to me? So I keep playing, and then he's like, saying dumb shit like, how you get that weapon? And he's watching me walk into it. So I'm like, okay, this guy's trying to distract me for some reason. Then all of a sudden I feel something in my leg. He's going up against me with his bubble goose, and he's putting his fingers like this, trying to get into my pocket to take my wallet out. So I fucking notice, and I hit him in the fucking shoulder and knock him back. I was like, yo, get the fuck out of here, bro. What are you doing? He's like, I ain't doing nothing. I got money, you know, N-bomb. I got money. I got this. And he's showing me like all this money. I was like, nah, you're trying to rob me. But I didn't get off to fight him. I kept playing, and I won that match because I was a savage.
Yeah, you had a wet mushroom.
Yeah, exactly, wet. Then he left. But after that game, I went outside, and he was ghostini.
Yeah, that happened a lot. There was a lot of like really shady people that hung around there, but most of the people that were there were cool.
Tons of them. I mean, it got bad though. Like people were getting mugged inside the mall. Yeah, and they blame it on Fun and Games because all the people that would hang out there, man. Yeah, it's the truth.
A lot of the times, the security guards were like, "Oh, people are scared because people are sitting outside smoking cigarettes." I'm like, why is that an intimidating? Yeah, I think they're probably more intimidated by the muggers that run around. Like, I don't know, man.
If you were like a real timid person in general, and you'd pull up there on a Friday night or Saturday, you'd have to walk through crowds of sketchy people. It was like 42nd Street.
They can sense that. Yeah, exactly. 42nd Street in like 1971.
Yeah. It was a weird place. So it was a special place. I remember there was this one kid, and what's weird is I went to go see Thursday recently, a couple months back. They took a boat ride over the Palisade Cliffs and they played War All the Time. Like, we were on this cruise ship. It was pretty cool. But I went there from somebody from Lyndhurst, and we started talking about fun and games, and she wanted to see my diorama, and we started talking, and there was a kid that I remember. I don't remember his name, but he frequented there a lot, and he always got super high off, I believe he used to take Coracetins. Coracetin, you know that like, it's like a Robitussin, I guess. But like
triple C's.
Yeah.
Triple C's. Okay.
I guess that's what they're called.
Yeah.
But Coracetin is like the name of it.
Yeah.
And he used to take like boxes of it and trip balls. And he would wear sunglasses and just zone out, like in front of fun and games.
Yeah.
So if you remember how like there was like the awnings, like those green awnings.
Yeah.
So it was pouring rain one day. And this dude was like, for the listeners that can't see what I'm doing right now, picture having praying hands up against my sternum, but they were fists instead of flat hands. So he had his knuckles like together like this, like praying with two fists instead of hands. And he had these black like Ray-Bans on, and the water was dripping off the edge of the awning, and he was just like this, mesmerized as this water, just like Chinese water torture, hit him in the face.
Oh my God.
Like the whole time. And I was like, yo, what is wrong with this guy? But he used to always be there zooted. Yeah. And I met this girl and we talked, and she ended up, only person I ever met in my life that remembers who this kid was. And she actually told me he died, obviously over a drug overdose, because the kid was fucking Looney Tunes.
Yeah, he's fucking blasting DXM all crazy like that. That's nuts.
Yeah, this was like, this was in early 2000s, probably 2003.
Yeah, triple C's were like really popular back then. But then people figured out that you could take cough medicine if it has this, if it lacks this ingredient, you won't get nauseous. Oh. So you don't got to pop those fucking pills all crazy like that now.
I wouldn't do that, man.
Delsum, I think.
I knew a kid that used to take Dramamine, take a whole fucking plastic sleeve of it and just like
Jesus Christ,
talk to his fucking alarm clock. Dude, like,
just do ketamine. It's so much safer. And
he did that too.
Oh, okay. Well, I probably wouldn't combine those two.
But. Yeah. But fun and games was really important to my life, as I know it was to yours. I'll never forget it. Which is why I got that diorama made, and which is why I recently got that patch. Thank God. Which is super rare. You're never going to see that ever again.
I actually have one that I got from them. My buddy Kevin and Saif, they used to work there.
You have one?
Yeah, I have one in my house.
If you ever want to sell it, I'll buy a double. Is it the same one I got? Yeah, has to be.
Yeah, because they were closing 2 days before closing. They just handed it to me because they were trying to get rid of backstock, and Saif gave me one.
Oh, so you've had it for a long time.
I've had it since I was 16.
Oh, man, that's crazy. Any other arcades besides Fun and Games in the area that you remember besides the one in Rutherford? Fun and Games was the main one that I always frequented, but there was others that I would like touch every once in a while.
I only really went to Fun and Games here. 8 on the Break is the only other one that I went to a lot.
I only been there a couple times. That's a rhythm game heaven right there.
Yeah, that's why I went. I was in the groove. But there was also... Chris used to have the third strike cabinets set up so that one person was on one cabinet and the other person was on the other one.
Oh yeah, like the Japanese candy cabs with one control panel on it.
Yeah, that's actually Rye is the first person that ever taught me how to play third strike.
Oh really?
Ryan that comes here. He was the first person that ever taught me how to play third strike.
High rider.
It's been a fucking nonstop on and off addiction for the last fucking 14 years. Thanks, Rye.
Yeah.
He made the best cheesesteaks though.
Did he?
Yeah. To this day, the only other dude that comes close is this dude Josh that worked there, or I think he still works there. But Rye made the best cheesesteaks.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bother him next time he comes over for one of my grid parties. You're gonna make me a cheesesteak, right? What's funny about Fun and Games is especially with DDR, it ended up being a health booster for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You were one of the many that game helped lose tons of weight.
I lost nearly 100 pounds in about 13 months because
that shit's real, bro.
Because of fucking grinding that game. It's basically high intensity interval cardio training.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, especially in the groove, when you get into the harder difficulties, it becomes more like fast paced, long streams of like basically running in place and holding up your body. So you're developing proprioception as well. But then you get the cool down periods where your heart rate resets back to the target heart level. I didn't know shit about this because back then I was just like, I'm just having fun.
Yeah, of course.
Way before I got into any kind of level of fitness myself. But it basically, when you play in the groove more than DDR, but DDR was where I started and how I developed, like, you know, how to develop stamina and the ability to like know where to place my feet and abuse the foot placement so I didn't have to move as much so I could get through harder shit.
Yeah.
But in the groove more than DDR is like really short bursts of really fast, like, and then you go do, and your heart rate resets. So I just burned through body fat like a motherfucker just getting good at that game. Yeah,
that's why I definitely have seen you there because, like I said in the intro, we both frequented there, but there was so many people that went there. It's not hard to believe that there was people you never met there, even though you were there every day with each other.
Yeah, if you and I ever cross paths, I'd definitely remember you because, like, you would be the only person I've ever met that, like, this was their favorite game.
Yeah.
You still are to this day. The only person that I
now I own it, thank God.
Yeah,
but
and your cabinets are fucking clean.
I try. I got to keep them fresh.
Yeah.
The DDR. There was another guy that used to go there that was extraordinarily heavy. He was taller than you. I forget his name. But I remember I used to watch him go there and he would play and sweat balls. And dude, like, remember 6 months later, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like a twig now.
And
that was when I knew, like, I'm like, this game's legit, dude. I played DDR a little bit. I dabbled.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, I was a grid guy, but I dabbled a little bit.
I think you might be referencing my buddy Mike. He went by Shadow. Did he have glasses and curly hair?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I wonder if it was you.
No, maybe.
You know what I mean?
But you said he was taller than me.
Yeah, he was taller than you.
Yeah.
But I remember he had gauges, though, in his ear.
Oh, you know what? You might be talking about my friend that punched the hole in the wall.
Maybe.
Because his ears were stretched. Yeah, that's my buddy Ian. Did he have big-ass feet and play in Vans?
I don't maybe.
His feet
was
like
he really heavy?
Canoes. Yeah, he was.
And he lost a shit ton?
Yeah.
That might have been him.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that guy, like, when I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, this is the real deal Holyfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Holyfield.
the real deal Holyfield. Yeah. So speaking of DDR and gaming in general, eventually you ended up going to Bloomfield College.
Yeah.
And in which you majored in creative arts and technology, mainly focusing on game development, right?
Yep.
Would you say fun and games had a big influence on your major choice?
No, I was always interested in that because of, like, I always just wanted to, like, even when I was younger, once I, like, grew up and realized what I was doing in video games, you know what I mean? I always was curious about the mechanics and how they were made, even board games. So a lot of the classes that I took were, we had to design a board game, like my first semester. And then I also had to take 3D modeling and all that other stuff where I learned how to use 3D printers later on. But
like CAD and stuff like that?
Yeah. So
that stuff's tough.
It fell under the CAD thing. I don't know. To me, it felt naturally because I've always been interested in emergent technologies. And in that time, the 3D printing was like
in its infancy stages.
Yeah, it was like an emergent technology. So I learned how to design game mechanics and like levels through like board games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always just kind of found that thing like really interesting, which is probably the only reason why I'm actually good at any of the games that I play. Because I'm like, all right, how does this game work mechanically? Because it's just like, it's some knowledge that I feel like I have to gain.
Yeah, which could be a big advantage. And that's very helpful to become good at something, is to tear it down and see how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, you know, you get the whole inner workings of it.
Yeah.
Didn't you develop like a small prototype DDR pad?
Yeah, I did. So what I did was I used plexiglass that I used the laser cutter for in the CAD department, which was right next to the
what was it, like a CNC machine?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. You just put it in there and it's like in Code Veronica when you have to get that fucking non-metal object so you get through the metal detector. I used that, and I used the plexiglass for that, and then I just used I used the bandsaw in the basement. I got the key from this kid that I was cool with, and the professor was like, "Yeah, it's fine. He knows what he's doing. He has like," because I showed her the blueprint and everything like that, which was part of the assignment. So then I went down there and I did it, and then because I took wood shop in high school, it was not like I already knew how to use the bandsaw.
Yeah.
And then I hammered it in, but then what I used was this the spray paint that looks like a kind of like a hammered metal. Like not smooth, not as smooth as this, but it looked like scuffed, like it's been like heavily used.
Yeah,
I wanted it to have that heavily used feel, and I just drilled it in using skills into a piece of plywood, and it was fairly. And then I printed the fucking arrows themselves just on a regular printer. Just slide that into the plexiglass.
So it wasn't functional. It was just like a representation of it.
No, I originally wanted to use like some circuitry, but I couldn't get a hold of it for like a reasonable price. Like at that time, it was like I wasn't going to spend like $130 to do like a single project, and I had to do an additional 3 projects for the semester.
Yeah. What made you stop pursuing game development?
At the time, my grandparents both got sick. My grandfather had a massive stroke to the point where he couldn't remember his own address and was trying to walk out of the house to drive in his like sweatpants and moccasins at like 11:30 at night. And then my grandma's arthritis was so bad that she was like actually like crippled. Like if she had to pee, one of us would have to like physically carry her for like 2 weeks at a time before it resettled. It was bad. That's actually how I got her to try edibles for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, here, try this. And, like, cause she was in like a really bad pain thing. And then we binge watched Trailer Park Boys.
Dude, I love Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, me too.
It's like so good.
So did she. That's the first time she ever tried weed at 85.
That's a great grandma right there.
Yeah, she was awesome. But, yeah, basically like my mom needed help and not many other people were stepping in to do anything about it at the time. So I was like, fuck. All right. So then I took a job elsewhere and started doing.
That's kind of what happened to me. That's pretty funny. I went to audio school to be like an audio engineer, producer, or whatnot. And you got to intern for free when you like.
Yeah.
Get out of those schools.
Is rough. Yeah.
I can't work for free. My mom got cancer at the time, so I was like, I had to.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know, I had to make some money. You know what I mean? So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I really wouldn't want that lifestyle anyway. After a while, it's like you really don't have a life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to, especially in the beginning, you got to grind, work for free, practically live in the studio. And it's like I had too much shit going on at home. I couldn't do it. So that's funny. It's kind of like a similar, had to back out for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy with where I'm at now. It's just that like that would have been kind of cool to like continue and pursue it.
Yeah, I agree. But at the time, it was like my mom can't do this alone with both fucking parents sick and like nobody else stepping up. So like, and I was also the only person in the house that could drive. So yeah. So when he had the stroke, he had to go to like, what do you call it? Like physical rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Over at Kessler, over in Hackensack. So I'd have to fucking drive up 46 like 8 times a day.
Yeah, it's rough.
Couldn't do a fucking internship when I have to stop every like 5 minutes to, you know, come back and forth so they could eat and rest and then go back. And it was not an ideal situation.
Yeah, you got to make the best with the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
I also discovered you invented some like toddler game.
I did, but it was it was
like
just
shapes?
for the it was just for the class. It wasn't like it wasn't like
I thought it was like something you were like gonna patent.
No. It was a project. It was a project that I just did just to like get through that course.
Oh, gotcha. So when I was poking around about you, there was something I discovered that got me so fucking goddamn excited. I can't even describe to you. So prior to you going to Bloomfield College, I believe you worked for a short while at my favorite comic book store of all time, Joker's Child.
Yes, I did.
Dude, that is my favorite comic book store in the world.
It's a great place,
next to Zap Comics.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I love Zap.
I think, I guess I'm biased because I work for Joker's Child, and Len and Karen were like really knowledgeable about it, and their backlog was fucking insane.
I love that place.
Yeah, Joker's Child is cool, man.
That's where I got a lot of my toys.
They had a lot. Yeah. We had a lot of
best toy
those.
section.
Yeah, they had a very good toy section, and I haven't been there in a while, but they do have they have a lot of knowledgeable employees that like really like they kind of like want you to love comic books so that like when you talk to customers that are like regulars,
yeah,
because that's how they get it. Like there used to be a lot of customers that would order like hundreds of books a week, so that every Wednesday when we came in to take the diamond order, we would have to like sort it out. It's like, oh, this one's for Elliot, this one's for Bill, like, you know what I mean?
And that's why they're still here to this day.
Yeah, they survived. And on Free Comic Book Day, that fucking line looks like you couldn't give out free heroin faster than the fucking...
I love that comic book store, dude.
Yeah,
that always held
awesome.
a special place in my heart. And when I found out you worked there and I read that, I was like, oh my God. This is like,
Joe Shaw was cool, man.
we should go there. We should go there soon.
Yeah.
How'd you end up getting that job?
My buddy Tori, that... well, I was friends with him at the time, but he had a lot of issues with a lot of different people. As well as mutual friends that you know. I'll tell you that another. I mean, unless you want me to like talk about it here, but he, if you bring him up to Henry, he'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I got it through him because he used to hang out with me a lot because I knew his ex-girlfriend and I became friends with him. And then after they broke up, I was still friends with him. I was like, I always liked this guy, so I hung out with him. And then I just asked him like, hey, are they hiring there? And he's like, yeah. So that's basically how it went.
Oh, that easy.
And I got in, yeah.
You weren't there too long, right?
Books. No, I wasn't there. I think I was there like 8 months, and then I went to
Toys R Us.
I think so, yeah. Toys R Us, yeah. Thanks.
Which is also something that made me giddy. I told you I dug a little bit.
Oh my God! Thanks, man. Yeah, you remembered better than me.
I love Toys R Us too. I mean, that's another place, along with Fun and Games, that has a special place in my heart. It kills me that my son can't go there. The new ones that are out there now are not the same.
Really?
Nah, it's not the same.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been there, but
it's not the same. But it kills me that he can't go there, dude. There's nothing like being there in the 90s and just like always. That's another thing is like how they were always fully stocked.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people with the internet and the overhype and the reselling, you go to Target because that's like the only place you can get good toys nowadays besides Walmart. The shelves are always barren.
Yeah. Oh, really?
All the time. At least when I go.
Damn.
They're gone because, employees, they tell people, they buy shit, they have their friends come, they hide stuff. It's like the whole game.
Oh, that's true, yeah. I mean, well, the economy sucks.
Yeah.
The economy sucks.
So everybody just grabs everything.
One thing I liked about Toys R Us, I was just talking about this, I think like 2 weeks ago. I remember getting Kirby Superstars on the fucking Super Nintendo there.
Wow.
But it made me think of like when you used to have to go and grab those like yellow and blue tags out of the plastic sleeves.
With the big price on it.
Yeah, and the employees would go back in the room and grab the item off of like a warehouse in the back.
That was special, dude.
It was.
All the Kenner toys and the Playmates Ninja Turtles shit.
Yeah, man.
You can't, most of them had like a Babies R Us next door too.
Yeah, they always had that attached. And then the cool decorations for like the new toys and everything. They would always have like those like almost floats or whatever you call them, like kind of dangling from the ceiling.
Dude,
awesome.
I used to love grabbing all the wrestling figures there, all the Hasbros.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss those days, man.
I miss the wrestling buddies, the Big Boss Man and the Hulk Hogan, like plushie, like.
I still have Hulk Hogan.
Do you?
I think I have Macho Man also.
I never had Macho Man. I used to have Big Boss Man and Hulk Hogan, and they got torn.
Jake the Snake was one also, wasn't he?
Really?
I'm trying to remember now. I have all the squirt buddies.
Jake the Snake. Do some yoga, man. You'll kick your drug addiction.
DDP's. He's the big yoga guy.
Point Pleasant, man.
He's still have New Jersey. I don't know if you saw in my toy room. I still have the power squirts, the WWF power squirts. It was the big. I have all of them.
I had one of those too. I think I had. I want to say it was Goldberg, if that was one of them. Unless they. Oh no, I'm thinking of the ones with the voice boxes. There was Sting and there was Goldberg.
Yeah. The WCW shit.
Yeah,
those are great. Well, that brings me to this. I always collected toys from a real young age. Always, still do to this day. I especially loved buying horror figures. And I started that when Movie Maniacs first came out because there wasn't too many horror movie toys around that time besides Puppet Master, which I used to frequent at Joker's Child because they had Puppet Master toys there. I used to get all my Puppet Masters.
I do remember seeing those.
Always.
Yeah, I do remember seeing those.
By the way, those are probably some of the best toys ever made. They were articulated, the material, the clothing, like when you hold those things in your hand like loose, they're unbelievably made, especially for the time. Like Dude, that dude, Charles Band did a good job with those Full Moon toys, dude. Those Puppet Master shits were bananas.
Really?
And I used to, I could show you some. I have a bunch sealed. But that's where I used to buy them at. And I used to collect all the movie Maniacs came out and stuff like that. And I largely obtained a lot of my toys, like I said, from Joker's Child. I used to go to, there was one local called Time Warp. They had some stuff there.
Time Warp, yeah. That used to be like right down the way, right? Over by, what is it, Famous Rays?
It's kind of like way earlier than that.
Cedar Grove, right?
Cedar Grove,
Grove, yeah. That's where I got my Freddy vs. Jason comics.
Yeah, wow. Freddy vs. Jason. Holy shit. And that's actually, when that movie came out, that's when the movie Maniacs toys came out as well. Like a little bit beforehand, yeah.
Okay.
That movie like inspired those toys and shit. Because there was actually a Freddy vs. Jason set. But I used to be a member of McFarlane Toys, his mailing list.
Nice.
And he would send you like the little pamphlets.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my cousin growing up, my cousin Louis. You know Louis, the quiet, he's usually quiet Spanish kid with the beard, Puerto Rican kid.
Yeah, he's always
here.
He's a really cool guy.
That's my first cousin.
Okay.
That's my mom's brother's son. That's like my brother, dude.
Yeah, he's
like,
always very friendly.
Dude, we've talked for our whole life. He's like my brother, literally. We've been through a lot together. But him and I always as kids fantasized about there being a Freddy vs. Jason movie. Way before the inception of the actual movie. And I remember I got that thing, and they talk about that in the McFarlane newsletter thing. Me and him bugged out, and then movie Maniacs came out, and the movie the whole nine. So I wanted to ask you, when did you start getting into horror movies?
When I was 11.
You know the exact age.
Yeah. The reason why is because my aunt Mary got me into them. We went to Blockbuster because she used to work there for a little bit. So we went there and we got Halloween. We got Friday the 13th 1 and 3 because they didn't have 2.
Wow, what a
and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. So the first one I watched was Halloween, and I was like, "Fuck, man, this movie is so good." And then I watched all the other ones, and then I went home, and The Shining was on HBO, so I watched that. And then I was like, "Wait." I read the credits and it said it was a Stephen King book, so that kicked me off into reading the Stephen King books. So my aunt like got me addicted to horror, like a fucking here, try this, and I was like, I need more.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if was your first dive into it in one of the famous typical franchises, and obviously you confirmed that by saying Halloween was like your first love.
Yeah, Halloween. And then I started researching and getting more and more depraved with it, watching fucking gore movies like Guinea Pig and all those other movies.
Because you're a sick puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are rough.
They are, but at the same time, they are. The thing is, I like the special effects. Especially like, because it's like, man, you really made me think that you killed this woman.
Yeah, because they're
like,
practical.
Yeah, like the fucking bone cracking and all the blood, and it looks like real flesh that you're cutting into. I'm like, thanks for teaching me how to be a serial killer, man.
Yeah, CGI doesn't cut it.
Yeah, man, yeah.
That's why, lords like Tom Savini are a real, Rick Baker.
Tom Savini, yeah.
Tom's the GOAT, man.
Yeah, he is. They paid him for that really shitty Friday the 13th game that's kind of like Dead by Daylight. They paid him to make out. Yeah, well, that's because they didn't do it correctly. And they actually had Kane Hodder do the what is it? I don't know what it is, but they wear those things and then they superimpose them into the game with 3D modeling.
Yeah,
like they did with The Last of Us, the games.
Yeah, like all the balls everywhere, so it mimics your movement.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting like a fucking heart monitor. Like he has like a bunch of catheters. Yeah, but they actually used Kane Hodder, who was Jason in 7 through.
I met Kane. He's a nice guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was also Ed Gein in the movie.
Which movie?
Gein.
Oh yes, that's right. You're right.
Ed Gein. Yeah. But they used him.
I forgot about that movie.
They used him to do the animations for Jason, and then they had Tom Savini make a special skin for people who pre-ordered it, and then they even made a DLC where you could get the NES colors of Jason.
Yes, you're right, the 8-bit ones.
And then they still dropped the fucking ball, and it's like, dude, how did you get all these people to subscribe to this, and then you fucked it up? It's like you can't put Savini and like fucking
I know
and Kane Hodder's name on it, and then be like, yeah, sorry guys, it sucks.
Yeah, it seems in this day and age, a lot of video game rollouts really flop.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. It's because they introduced too much DLC, or they're like, we're going to release an incomplete game and then single players coming out like a year later. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's, a lot of people are complaining about the new Mortal Kombat 1 as well.
Really?
With like a lot of like networking issues, and the online play is rough.
I have seen a lot of posts about that. I've seen a lot of posts about that. And then they were like, why is the Switch version just as expensive as the other ones? And it's like terrible.
It's terrible. Well, dude, that's the problem when you have these, WB is behind that fucking machine. And
oh, really?
Yeah, WB owns all the IP for Mortal Kombat. They bought Midway. When Midway went under, they bought all their IPs.
So
technically...
The Grid is a fucking Warner Brothers game.
Especially since there's Mortal Kombat characters in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Noob Saibot, Scorpion, Sub-Zero.
When is the Animaniacs and Freakazoid DLC coming out for the game?
Yeah, right? Animaniacs. But yeah, they own all those IPs. So when you got these major corporations behind the shit, they're pushing out, they're giving deadlines. Yeah. You can't rush stuff like that.
No,
you can't rush creativity. But everything's about making $1.
Especially when you have to make all the art behind it. You have to program it so that it works correctly. And then every game comes out with like a fucking 40,000 gigabyte day one patch. So it's like, we released the game, but you have to like wait like 4 hours for it to download so that it works.
Which makes me wonder how GTA 6 is going to be.
So that specifically is unique to me because some guy do you know how they leaked a lot of that shit?
Yeah.
The guy fucking used an Amazon Fire Stick in a hotel room to fucking hack into it. But with those leaks, they might change a lot of shit up.
Which could be bad.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Deadwood, the game. What is it? Red Dead Redemption, yeah.
I hope not. I don't know. I have hope, though, because it's been 10 years since the last.
I know. I do have hope, too, because I'm definitely going to try to play it. But GTA 5 got really boring to me really fast after I beat story mode.
Oh, yeah? And people play online all the time.
That's the thing. Online mode, they, for the first, 6 years, they refused to do anything about hackers. So, you would just walk outside, and if some guy got mad at you because you won, a death match, you'd have, helicopters, spawning on you. or I'd walk into, I forget, what is it, 24/7 in that game, the 7-Eleven store?
I don't have GTA 5, believe it or not.
Oh, my God. Some guy, spawned, $3 billion worth of money bags onto me once. It was, really bad. All right, I guess I don't have to play the fucking game.
People always ruin shit with hacking and mods. You know how it is. Yeah. They always seem to fucking do that. So speaking of horror movies and VHS and when you first got your love in it, what were your favorite video rental stores growing up? Which ones had the greatest horror sections to you?
West Coast Video in Wallington, New Jersey, right next to
West Coast.
Genovese. Next to Genovese's.
The pizzeria?
No, it's now a pet store.
Genovese.
Yeah, the West Coast Video is now ShopRite Liquors.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it used to be Radio Shack.
Wallington, you went all the way out there? I guess that's not that far from you.
No, it's I lived on the west side of Rutherford, so all I had to do was drive down Jackson Ave.
And you know what? Now that I think about it, you take some back roads. You're not far at all. You're a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, it takes 5 minutes.
Oh, dude, those were great. Hollywood videos were fantastic. Palmer videos. Remember Palmer video?
I do remember Palmer videos.
There's nothing like walking into a horror VHS section.
Yeah. There used to also be a VHS store on Union Ave in Rutherford, which is it's now a pizza place. But there used to be a video store owned by my friend's parents, the Patels.
Oh, Patel.
Yeah.
Want to suck?
Yeah. But the horror section was pretty solid. They had a lot of obscure ones on VHS. That's how I saw Guinea Pig for the first time.
Whoa. They had it there?
On VHS, yeah.
Wow.
And that's how I saw the... so I actually rented, and I didn't know it at the time, and I'm so pissed at myself that I didn't just buy it from them for $5. The director's cut for Halloween 6.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, the one where there's a weird scene with Michael Myers.
Wasn't that a Blockbuster exclusive?
No.
Or was that 5?
No,
I remember seeing one with a Blockbuster strip down the side, and it was a director's cut. The Curse of Michael Myers, right?
Curse of Michael Myers was number 6, but the director's cut was not a Blockbuster exclusive.
Okay, maybe I'm getting shit mixed up. Then.
So it never really made an actual official release, but there's a few differences in it. Yeah, you have to they had some thing, and it was not an official label on the VHS tape.
Okay.
But it was they put it in the official box because I guess they just bought it you know what I mean, at cost to try to save money. But there's a scene in it where Michael Myers engages in a certain activity with Jamie. And
no, I remember that. Yeah, I remember you talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely fucking weird. And then like, I think that it's the movie where you find out that the guy in the first one that's like, oh, maybe someone around here gave him lessons, and like it turns out that he did. It's like it's so stupid.
Yeah, that was floating around the bootleg scene for a minute.
Yeah, you had to get it bootleg. And
yeah, I remember that specifically. I remember there was another store that was around the corner. I don't know if you remember this. By Quick Check over here, I think it was called Real Video. I'm trying to remember now, but they had a fantastic horror section. That's how I judged a video rental place. I went right to their horror section, depending on the obscurity of whatever they carried. I'm like, oh, this place is legit.
Oh, they have 12 copies of Skin Deep. This place is awesome.
Oh, they got York Budgeric's Necromantic. You're solid. You're solid.
That's a good movie, though.
Oh, it's weird. It's shot.
It is shot, but it's good.
We've talked about before. That definitely inspired Lars von Trier's Antichrist, for sure. Especially that scene at the end.
Yeah,
in Necromantic.
Necromantic was definitely an interesting film.
Yeah,
when she's bathing in the fucking cat's blood in the bath, it's like, so like, why does this scene exist?
Those covers haunted me for years. The cover art. That's the best part about the VHS days is when they had like the big boxes that were like, they took that from the porn era, because porn and horror came in those big box VHSs.
The fucking plastic ones.
Yeah, the big ones with the plastic sleeves that you pulled out. Although even regular movies came in big boxes, but they were mostly the horror and the porn because they wanted them to stand out on the shelf. And I never forget seeing those. There was a couple. Necromantic was one of them that I never forget. Another one was Maniac. With the bulge in his jeans.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's holding this head with the scalp.
Yeah.
I loved those covers. There was a bunch more. Yeah. But I mean, those were like ones that like always fucking stood out to me. And there was a great section here around the corner, Real Video. But now it's like where the Chinese store was. You know where the Quick Check is right here?
Yeah.
So around the corner towards the back, there's like a Chinese place and there's like a jiu-jitsu place.
Yeah, and then the Dunkin' Donuts and all that, yeah.
Yeah, so there was like a video store there and they had a really good section. Also, there was a Hollywood Video in Montclair. They had a pretty good section too. Yeah,
I was never really out this way too much because like, when I was younger, when these places existed, I wasn't even old enough to drive. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't, G-riding my way, ghost riding the whip to fucking... Hollywood Video.
Who are some of your favorite horror directors? Obviously, John Carpenter.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, I never really got into like the directors of the stuff. Like, my research always just is like, all right, what is the most fucked up? Like, because as I became more jaded, it's almost like a porn addict. Like, as I became more jaded, I'm like, I want more and more fucked up horror movies.
Yeah, you want the most shot.
Yeah, like, so then that's how I came into, like, Men from Behind the Sun. And,
you went deep, yeah.
And then, like, what is that? There was one that I watched that was, like, really fucking weird. Why am I forgetting the title? I've referenced it in conversation. Irreversible.
Oh, yeah, that rough rape scene?
Yeah, it's fucked up, dude. That's actually... I think, the disturbing part of that scene is not what's going on, like, what he's doing to her. It's how the other people that witness it react to it.
Yeah.
Like, the guy at the very end of the fucking foot tunnel, he just sees it going on. He's like, fuck this, and just, like, leaves.
Yeah.
Or the woman that she saves just leaves her there to be raped in her place. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? How do you do this?
Yeah, it's crazy what film can do to you and your senses.
Yeah. But also, I think a lot of these like really fucked up movies, especially horror movies that have scenes like that are really like I think the filmmaker is showcasing their own PTSD to you, because there's no way you would have thought of those details unless you were a cop that worked that kind of scene before, or you went through it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or know somebody that went through it, because it's too intimate. A lot of those like really fucked up scenes in like those horror movies are way too intimate.
Yeah.
So they've had to have like experience that either through a third party that's close to them or first party themselves. Like,
yeah, like they're too close to the
there's
actual
no
event.
way that you're like, I mean, yeah, people can be creative and come up with shit like that, but it has to be based on real world things, because there's no shot that like.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although imagination is a very extraordinary ability.
That's what I mean. It's very powerful. So like I lean on both sides of the fence that way. Like, but like Stephen King, like fictional shit like that. But stuff that's that intimate, that real world, like down
Yeah.
to like how witnesses will react to that. Somebody had to have gone through that close to the person or themselves.
Yeah. Like that movie Angst that I recommended to you recently.
Fucking excellent.
Yeah, that's probably, if I could pick one horror movie that's my favorite, I might say number one. You know, that one just changed my life when I watched that.
Oh, I loved it. It was an excellent view into what the like humanity knew about behavioral science and like psychopaths, at least at the time that came out. And also one of my favorite parts of that movie that I think I've mentioned to you before. It is the constant uncomfortable atmosphere. The fact that this guy just unrelentlessly, like, just fucking, like, you know what I mean? It's just this unrelenting, like, discomfort in the way he acts, the sound design, the cinematography, the fact that he gets paroled from prison and he immediately, like, thinks about how he could, like, victimize these girls in a diner while he's, like, fucking gnawing.
Yeah, you see how it slowly climbs.
Yeah, and then, like, I think one of my favorite parts of that movie overall, and it's weird to say, is the constant sound of the like heels of his shoe.
Yes, hitting the ground.
Every step that he takes. Yeah, because it's just like, dude, this guy's a constant predator.
Yeah.
And all you hear is his footsteps as he constantly tries to prey on people.
And he's a pretty well-known actor. Erwin Letter's his name.
Really?
The director of the movie is Gerald. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Cargill. It's like Kargl.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's Cargill, but
Cargill. Yeah. And Erwin Letter. He was in a bunch of movies. Yeah, but that movie. So to those people that are listening, the movie that I recommended to TJ is called Angst, Angst, and it came out in 1983. So you could just go on YouTube. You could type in Angst 1983 trailer. It's got a couple of different names. Another name for it is, if you're into horror movies, you'll know that most of these films have multiple names for whatever country they come out in.
Language barriers, yeah.
Yeah, schizophrenia is another name for that movie.
Which version is that?
So the Belgium VHS, which I have, is the rarest version of the film.
Isn't that the original one?
Yeah, it was put out. I got to show it to you. It's a beautiful cover, hand drawn, gorgeous. Okay. That was called Schizophrenia. Then the French version of it was also Schizophrenia, but then everything else was Angst. Even there was another called Fear was another one. Japan, they came out with a TCC video, dropped one, and it went under Fear. That was the name for, yeah. So it's like, there's like all these different names, but it's really the actual title of the movie is Angst.
Yeah. I have encountered that in a lot of other movies, like Anthropophagus is named a lot of different things.
Yeah. Even High Tension, Hot Tension, or Razor Blade Romance.
What is it? Dodd's Dead Snow.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Dead Snow. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
That's solid. But Angst, it's basically based on a true story and true events of this like schizophrenic serial killer that gets released from jail, and the movie starts when the moment he's released.
Yeah, he gets paroled.
And he starts out calm, but you slowly see the progression of when the his manic state sets in, and he starts to get the taste for blood, if you will, again. And it's
well, he relives his childhood PTSD through his crimes.
He killed his parents or whatever.
Yeah, no, his parents were like abusive and abandoned him. He was like abused, like in a certain way. I don't really.
That's why he was put in jail, because he killed his parents or whatever. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah, he wound up doing that, but because of what they were doing to him, and then he relived it. He did the same thing. Like it's basically like a breakdown of like when someone is victimized to the extent where they become psychotic.
Exactly,
they'll do the same thing because they learned that in their formative years.
It's trauma.
Yeah.
Just the trauma reliving itself.
He's even telling the stories he's doing it.
Yeah.
I do like the scene though, where the son is the only one home, and he wheels up to him, and he has like the fucking tried cornmeal in his mouth, and they make him roll his eyes around to make him look like he's like,
Yeah. You guys got to see that. Even the scene when he's in that like taxi or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When he takes off his entire shoelace to try to strangle her. Yeah.
What's remarkable about the movie is it came out in 1983. But it's absolutely next level with the shots and the camera angles.
Yeah.
Innovation like to its finest.
Even it was like almost like It was almost like a found footage hybrid as well because of the camera that like the apparatus that had to have been to him to have those fucking close up shaky shots of him running and shit.
Yeah, he must have had like something around his waist and the camera spun around him or something. It was bonkers, dude. For 1983?
That's what I mean. Way ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal film. And I remember the first, you know how I found out about that film? So, not to take up too much of this podcast talking about horror films, because I truly could talk about it forever.
Me too.
Years ago, back in the days, if you listen to my first podcast with Giovanni in my drug days, we used to hang out at Dunkin' Donuts a lot. And there was a young kid that used to hang out at Dunkin' Donuts too. His name is Steve Zepp. Zepp is spelled S-Z-E-P, I believe. It means beautiful in Hungarian.
Oh, okay.
He's like partially
so
Hungarian.
Eastern European, yeah.
Yeah, and so I met him, and he had I don't want to say it again, I forget what shirt he was wearing. He was wearing a shirt. We talked about this before because I said the shirt incorrectly on my podcast with G, and then he corrected me, and I forget what he corrected me with, so I don't want to say the shirt. It might have been a Lucio Fulci zombie shirt. Okay. And I said it was like a Freddy Krueger shirt. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, so I met him, and he was a big horror fiend, and we immediately clicked because of horror movies. Yeah. So we talked all the time, and we hung out a lot, and he actually introduced me to Chiller Theater. Okay. The horror conventions that go on every year. Twice a year. And so I started going with him, and you know, he introduced me to like a lot of trauma films that I didn't know about because his older brother was into trauma. Oh, nice. Terror Firmer Days, shit like that. Yeah. So we have a lot of stories together about horror movies, and you know, I haven't seen Steve in a while, and I hope he's doing well. But he sent me a trailer one day, and it was that. He never saw the film, but he's like, we got to find this film. It was a little tough to find back then. Yeah, probably. He said, we got to find this film. He said, look at this trailer. And in the trailer, you hear them going, angst, angst. Like it says, there's like a many trailers of that movie, but one of them was like, angst, angst. Like he kept saying that, and you kept seeing like these flashes and stuff. And I was like, I got to find that. So I found it one day, downloaded it, because it wasn't on Blu-ray until whatever they put that out. Cult Epics put it out. Okay. But it wasn't on Blu-ray for a while. So I had to find it, and I burned it on DVD-Rs, and I gave him a copy. And that was how we first saw it. And I remember watching it, like, I can't believe, like, how good this is. And
it's just so good. I loved it.
I got so obsessive with it that I hunted, I forget his name, shout him out, because at one point in my life, I had quite possibly, not quantity-wise, but I had one of the best horror VHS collections on the East Coast, hands down, as far as rarity goes. Yeah. I had gemstones. And I met a friend online, and he had a lot of European stuff. And he's from Belgium, and he had a Belgian VHS. And I saw the cover. It was released by VDS. I was like, yo, I need that. Now, if you're in the horror VHS collecting world, you know about the European releases. VDS drops gemstones, and they're like a collectible label. I was like, yo, I need that. And he was the only person who that had it. And I bugged him for years, and he finally sold it to me. But I got obsessive. Then I found the French C-Cam, Schizophrenia, and then I found the Japanese TCC one, which was Fear. So I found that, and I got obsessive with it. And then something random happened in Japan about, like I said, I'm bad with timelines, maybe 5 years ago. Okay. I don't know, 6 years ago. In Japan, they released these weird, obscure movies back into their movie theaters. Oh, really? And they play them for like short periods of time. Yeah. And they make merchandise specifically for the showing in their theater.
Oh, no fucking way.
So now I'm a Japanese vinyl toy collector. Okay. Right? And there's a guy, his name is Samurai something, whatever. What he does is he makes a lot of these very small rubber, remember like Muscle Men? Yeah. Remember those figures? Yeah. So he makes like Japanese ones of those. And I found him years ago because he did the game Splatterhouse. Remember the game Splatterhouse? Yes,
I do. The beat 'em up, right?
Mikey Metroid, shout out to Riazi. He's huge into that game.
Oh, is he
Splatterhouse.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's huge into Splatterhouse. So he made these little muscle figures of like Splatterhouse figures. So that's how I started following this guy. I forget his name. Sorry if I'm, butchering that. But his name is Samurai something. He's a Japanese dude from Japan, but he speaks a little bit of English. So I started following him because of that. And all of a sudden, he always posts like him in front of these weird displays in movie theaters, like of him with his mask on, like whatever, hanging out. And one day, he posts a picture of him in front of, I'm like, is that Angst? So I messaged him. I'm like, bro, what's going on there? Because I love that movie.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they have a limited showing here in Japan. They have all this stuff, T-shirts, keychains, like they're making all this merch.
For angst.
So I went crazy. I was like, yo, buy me one of everything, whatever you could buy. So unfortunately, I hit him a little too late, but he grabbed me whatever he can grab me. Grabbed me a limited poster, a little one, a keychain, a T-shirt.
Oh, man.
A mask. And the mask is like his face screaming.
Oh, my
crazy.
God.
I got to show it to you. You'd love it.
Yeah, I would need to see that, yeah.
So I got obsessive and I grabbed that. And I also have an old, what do you call it? Like, you know when a play has like a playbill?
Yeah,
like
I think that's what it...
So they made one similar to that for the movie years ago in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So I have that also. So I have a bunch of stuff from the movie because I love it. I'm going to have like in my display case a whole. Didn't mean to go on that rant.
An angst display case.
Yeah.
You're probably the only person on the entire planet that has an angst display case. It's a good fucking movie. 100%. That was easily one of the best recommendations in the horror genre I've sustained.
I get obsessive with things, as you could tell. And that's one of them, you know. But like I said, I had a crazy VHS collection. I had I'm talking rare stuff, sealed stuff. And I recycle hobbies a lot. Only certain stuff stick around forever, like this shit. I regret it because I had some really rare stuff. I mean,
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I dive all the way in, all the way to the bottom, the furthest tip of the iceberg I could get to.
Yeah, I went wild. I have pictures I can show you later of some crazy stuff. That was in the days of when the Horror VHS Collectors Unite group on Facebook was really popping. Now it's like a bunch of fucking jerk-off wannabes. Like, it's not the same anymore. All the OGs kind of like up and left. Yeah. But like back in its heyday, that you know how we talk about fun and games?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There was a time on Horror VHS Collectors Unite was special.
The golden age.
Dude, like I had heaters. Bro, my last house on Dead End Street collection was bonkers.
You had the whole thing.
You got to Roger Watkins, bro. I had the marquee video release. I had the original Sun video release, which had the Funhouse title card, which is stupid rare. Bro, I had gems, bro.
Damn.
I had heaters.
You know how to find like you're like an anthropologist.
Yeah, I get crazy.
Find, like art, you'll find like a pyramid.
I'm gonna cry when we end this because I'm thinking about like my shit dude, my lunch meat VHS collection was stupid. I had an Argentinian release of it. And the Argentinian release was crazy.
Was
He's chewing an arm on the cover. Oh, it's stupid.
Oh, okay. The cover art.
Oh, the Japanese one was fire too.
Really?
Yes. So there's one other thing. I'm going to stop after this. I have the world's largest The Last Dragon memorabilia collection known on the planet.
What?
You ever see that movie?
No. That
Motown movie, the Bruce Leroy?
No.
The black version of like Enter the Dragon?
I've never seen it.
Oh, we'll talk about it another time.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's fantastic.
Is it like a blaxploitation film?
Almost.
Okay.
Not quite there, but almost. Okay. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, horror VHS thing was great. Did your love for horror movies cause your serial killer obsession? Because
yes. Absolutely, because I wanted to be like, I wanted to know why these people became so obsessive with committing homicide that their entire lives were built around it. Because I knew it had to be based on something. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if you look at horror movies, they're based on what people were afraid of at the time, or based on what people used to be afraid of, like myths, like Freddy Krueger. Yeah, or you look at The Outsider. Stuff like that, like Wendigos and stuff like that. Yeah. So I always was like, all right, what makes these people this way? Because I knew that people were like that. I used to see Jeffrey Dahmer fucking court things when I was a kid, on TV. Yeah. And serial killers were still a buzzword on the news when I was a kid. So I looked into it and I was like, these guys are a psychological aberration. So I started researching psychology so I could better understand it. And I took a 20-year-long deep dive into it.
Yeah, because you're quite obsessed with it. You know who you remind me of? My cousin Rocco.
Really?
Yeah, so my cousin Rocco, he's not obsessed with serial killers. He's obsessed with mafia figures.
I like them too.
He's huge into them. If you ever meet him, He actually used to live in this house that I own today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Rocco's huge into mafia and the crime families.
Yeah.
He's like a historian, and you remind me of him, but on the serial killer side.
Yeah, I've become like a serial killer anthropologist.
It's interesting stuff, man.
It really is. It's like looking into the psychology of it, because a lot of them like weren't abused. You know what I mean? Like they didn't fit the profile of what they thought serial killers were. They weren't all these like ugly, ramshackled, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
dudes.
yeah.
They were just like, look at Dennis Rader. Your alarm system is the same company he used to work for.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, like Jeff Dahmer wasn't a bad looking dude. He was just an alcoholic. Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy's crazy.
He was just fucking nuts. He was just like decent looking, but he was fucking nuts.
So what are, I don't want to say favorite, quote unquote, because I guess that's kind of morbid to say I have a favorite serial killer.
Oh, I'll say it. My favorite serial killer, my top 3 favorite serial killers, Israel Keys.
I don't know who that is.
Israel Keys used to be in the U.S. military as a sharpshooter. He was a decorated officer. What he would do is he had a construction company in Alaska.
Okay.
What he would do is he would fly from Alaska to Chicago Airport, O'Hare, and then drive thousands of miles, bury a kill kit out in the middle of the woods.
What the
Drive
fuck?
back, fly back to Alaska, then go back like 3 years later and like hang out in like a state park waiting for anybody to come around that like was like kind of alone. He
So he had no rhyme or reason. He just wanted somebody that was
to
easy.
kill. He just wanted to kill. He grew up in a like a cultish like thing, and one of his best friends like wound up. He grew up in like a cultish like religious like sect that like lived in like a tent, and he had like he had like a shitload of siblings, and they were like adjacent to like their beliefs were like almost like Aryan Nation adjacent.
Ooh.
And one of his best friends growing up actually got the death penalty for massacring an entire family.
Really?
Yeah. So what he did was he joined the U.S. military so he could satiate his homicidal urges. But he took really good care of his like siblings and everything like that. Like
Isn't that bizarre? It's like Richard Kuklinski. He was like a really good family man.
Yeah, and then would just go and ice everybody.
Yeah.
But
he's my favorite.
Richard Kuklinski.
I guess he's not a serial killer. He's a hitman.
Yeah, the Iceman.
Yeah.
But so what he would do is he would bury these kits and then go back like 5 years later and hang out in like a state park. And then at gunpoint would usually sexually assault the female and kill the male and then kill the female.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but after he got caught is the most interesting part of me about him, because he's like so narcissistic. He actually controlled the FBI investigation. He refused to cooperate unless they did what he said, and they didn't follow his instructions, so he stopped cooperating. So they don't know how many victims he actually has. They only are able to name like 3, and one of them is the one girl that he killed in his hometown. He kept her in his storage shed and then went on vacation with his fucking kid and his wife or girlfriend. Excuse me. Went on a cruise off the coast of Louisiana, and he used to rob banks to pay for his murders and everything, because he thought that like, you know, he didn't want the paper trail linking him to that kind of shit. It was all cash. So they went back to Alaska ahead of him. He burnt down a fucking farm in Texas and robbed a bunch of banks. And then he went back home and he sewed this girl's eyelids open and put makeup on her so it didn't look like she was dead, because her parents were looking for her, and sent them a text message from her phone getting a ransom. So they sent like something like $10,000 to her bank account, but this idiot went through the Southwest again using her bank card at ATMs. Fucking, you know what I mean? And he's on footage and everything like that. But at that point, I guess he was like, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm not going to get caught.
Ego.
So then, yeah, what happened was he told the FBI, I don't want the local authorities knowing that I'm telling you where these bodies are. And they had this big excavation. So he's like, the first thing you did was not follow my instructions. So what he did was he killed himself and he stopped talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he killed himself, yeah. And he wrote like this weird thing. And then he painted like this, I guess what you could call a mural of 12 skulls on a cell ball to like indicate that like, yep, I've killed at least 12 people, but like they think that's conjecture. They don't really know. We're never going to find out. We're never going to find half of his victims.
So what year was this around?
2012 he was apprehended, but he was active for 11 years.
Wow, that's crazy. So he's your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
What about second and third?
Dennis Rader is second, BTK.
Oh, that's his name. That's right.
Yeah, Dennis Rader is second. That guy was fucking nuts. He's
bind, torture, kill.
He was almost caught a lot of times. Local authorities kind of fumbled it, and his ex-wife, she caught him jerking off in the bathroom, hanging himself from the doorknob one time. That wasn't.
What do you call that again? Something
autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But he was wearing the dress of one of his victims.
That's great.
And there's a lot of photos of him, like in the early hours of the morning when his kids are sleeping. He used to bury a kit that had all of his trophies in the backyard. And he used to like hang himself upside down in bondage in the dress and the doll mask and everything and take Polaroids of himself. He was fucking nuts.
Yeah, people are shot.
Yeah.
Dude.
And he was a totally functional parent. All of his kids are doing great. He was like the head of his church, and that's how he got caught. He fucking asked the police. He's like, could you decrypt files if I send you a thumb drive? And they were like, no. And then he fucking mailed it in his own truck on CCTV, and then they decrypted his shit. Yeah.
People are fucking shot, dude. Mm-hmm. Shot. Speaking of that, Mindhunter was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really need to bring that back.
Some of that stuff didn't happen, but they did announce that, the guy who plays Bill Tench, the older guy that smokes the cigarettes a lot.
Love him.
He leaked the idea that there might be a season 3.
But I don't understand why they didn't even... Don't tell me they didn't get the viewership. There's no way they didn't.
It's the ensemble cast, and a lot of them were doing other projects. The guy who plays Holden, the younger agent,
he's great.
Was in
the
a
gay
lot of,
dude, yeah.
He's not. I don't think he's gay.
Oh, he's not?
No. The Dr. Wendy Carr was a lesbian. The lady was gay.
Are you sure he's not?
No, you had that
in real life.
In real life, I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought he was. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I thought you meant in the show though. That's why I was like, wait.
He seemed it in the show too, but I'm talking about more in real life.
But I didn't know. I don't know. I just know he was in other films.
He was great
at the time. Yeah, he was a great character.
Great.
So was Tench and
Tench.
Yeah, and then the serial killers actually look like them in the show.
Yeah, no, they look great.
Like what's his name? Ed Kemper.
The big dude.
Ed Kemper.
Yeah. He looked a lot like him.
The son of Sam. How did you find anybody that looks like this? Nobody I've ever met in my life looks like the fucking son of Sam.
Crazy, right?
Except for that guy that was in that show. Yeah,
dude, that show. Dude, the guy that looked like Charles Manson looked so good.
Yeah, he did. He looked a lot like him.
Dude,
that was
and
incredible.
He acted like him.
Yeah, and Richard Speck as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Richard Speck's sick.
He was a sick fuck.
Those were great. That was a great interview that time.
Yeah.
Dude, they gotta bring that back, bro.
Where he throws the bird. I think they're going to.
They have to.
But there's no way they can really conclude it because they're
of course they can.
on and off going up. Well, no, there's not. I mean, you have to think about it. Yeah, but they're gonna have 4 decades of that show. Like they're gonna. You know what I mean? Tench is definitely not going to be fucking still an FBI agent at like 90.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm sure there's other stuff that dude in real life worked on. Many other names, no?
Yeah, his name's John Douglas. He wrote the book Mindhunter, and he also wrote another book called Interviewing a Killer or A Killer Across the Table.
I'm sure they could do so much.
But he's Michael Douglas is so all of the FBI characters are like an amalgamation of who Michael Douglas was. He broke his like different personality like archetypes into different characters for the show. So David Fincher made that show, the guy who made Fight Club.
Yes.
And I always want to say it's Burn Notice, but it's John dies at the end. I don't know why I always want to say it's Burn Notice.
Fight Club's so good.
Yeah, Fight Club's an excellent movie and book. But yeah, he like broke it down into an amalgamation of who he was. But John Douglas was basically more Holden than Tench, and he was really instrumental in the behavioral science unit of the FBI, which like caught a lot of these guys, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fascinating stories.
That's what I mean.
Fascinating. Are there any other serial killer movies that you also enjoyed? Because there's a good amount. Like, remember Henry, A Portrait of a Serial Killer?
Yes. Did you like Henry Lee Lucas, The Confession Killer.
Did you like that one?
I liked the movie. It
was fun.
The documentary about him called Henry Lee Lucas, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which you got to watch on Netflix, is really good. It looks into the flaws of the way law enforcement handled it to clear cases that they knew he wasn't guilty for because they knew he was, like, mentally, like,
ill,
deteriorated, as well as Otis Toole, who was, like, definitely not an intelligent guy. I think he had like an IQ of like 67.
Oh, wow.
And he was doing life in like Florida. So like they were just like, oh, let's confess to this. Like on film. They're like on film, like being like, yeah, let's confess to this. And like the Texas Rangers like, oh, thanks for clearing this. With their fucking belt buckles and the 10-gallon hats.
That movie was shot.
Yeah.
That was a weird movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, though. I enjoyed it a lot.
I did, too, but I don't think Otis Toole was responsible for, what's his name? The kid that, the guy that does, fucking America's Most Wanted. Mm-hmm. His son.
You don't think he was?
I don't think Otis Toole killed his son. I don't. I think he just confessed to it because they were just like, let's find the stupidest fucking violent criminal we can and get him to confess to it for the clearance.
A lot of these serial killers, they have insane trains of thought. It's absolutely bonkers. Which brings me to this. When did you start getting into hallucinogenics? Or rather, what was the first drug you ever did, and how old were you? And yes, marijuana is a drug.
Okay, so marijuana I tried for the first time when I was 16.
Okay.
LSD not long after.
Really? You just jumped right, you threw yourself to the wolves instantly.
I saw all the TV shows and I'm like, dude, people see cool stuff. I want to try that. And then I was like, this is way better than like any film or TV ever made it out to be.
Wow. Were there a lot of kids around you doing hallucinogenics? Or was this something you sought out yourself?
There were a lot, but I sought it out myself in a way. A lot of people, for some reason, when I was in high school, like a sophomore, I think a lot of people just like discovered Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, so good.
So yeah, it's an excellent film. So they were trying it. That's what made it so easy for me to obtain at 16. Like, I didn't fucking know how to use any of the other methods to do so.
Yeah.
But I tried LSD. That was the first one. Shrooms was the second one. I didn't try any MDMA, which means like ecstasy or Molly, until years later because I heard about people dehydrating and I was like, I don't really want to grind my teeth and all that other shit. And I didn't know anything about it. But there was a while where I had not yet researched the safety profiles properly, so I did use Molly too often way back then, but then there was like a 5-year period when I didn't use it, so I was like, oh man, okay, I was able to juke brain damage. I can use it safely now. Once every 3 months.
I remember when I was a kid, people were always saying that it stores in your spine, and if you crack your back once in a while, you can get an MDMA trip.
That was a lot of people said LSD for that. That was always an urban myth. That only would happen if you took that. I mean, you could get flashbacks on LSD, but you have to be one of those guys that takes LSD fucking 10 tabs every day. You're basically Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he deteriorated so much that he wound up killing himself. So I mean, you don't really want to fucking fuck with your brain chemistry that harshly.
Yeah, it's pretty real. I was always personally frightened of hallucinogenics. I mean, still kind of am. I know what kind of a person I am. I'm really aware of where I am mentally and stuff, and I knew that that stuff just wasn't for me. I truly believe that it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. There's certain ones LSD will intensify your thought processes. Yeah. It'll make your reflexes really faster. If you're anything like me, it'll spike your sex drive considerably. And
LSD, really?
Yeah. You'll get visuals, but mostly you have to be able to quickly snap yourself out of a bad thought process, and that's where bad trips come in. I've had a bad trip once, and I have tripped on LSD many times. It's one of my favorites.
It's kind of tough to come by nowadays, isn't it? If you're not savvy on the dark web?
Yeah, if you know how to use the dark... No, actually, it's really not, but if you do come across it when you don't... Even if you do use the dark net, I urge anybody to test it to make sure it is...
You gotta test everything now.
Yeah.
Literally, even
not
weed
just,
almost.
Not just for fentanyl, but there's a lot of fake LSD out there. You don't want to take 25 IM.
The fuck is that?
The brown acid quote basically is the vascular constriction is about 3 times as powerful as LSD, which means your heart rate goes up really high.
Oh, it'll explode.
Yeah, it's not good. You don't want to take 25 IM. You don't want to take any of those fake ones. If it's made with the fucking lighter fluid and the seeds that are usually made to make I don't know, bug poisons, you don't want to take that shit either.
Do you have testers?
You use a reagent.
No, you personally.
No, I just use a reagent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It turns green if you put it in there, and that's 1 PLSD, safe to take. And then no fentanyl, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's scary now, like to do any sort of drugs.
Yeah.
You can't do shit anymore.
Yeah. That's why the only powder drug that I'll ingest is ketamine.
Yeah.
Ketamine, though, there's still a chance, even if it tests clean, it could be like in like the center of the bag, but that's like kind of like me just being anxious about it. But
yeah.
Ketamine, like the safety profiles dictate that like LSD is pretty safe as long as you limit it to like, I don't know, like every other week if you take like 1 or 2 tabs.
Yeah.
If you really want to trip that often, 2CB is the same. Shrooms are the same. MDMA or anything like Molly or ecstasy, like any MDMA subsequent, you're going to want to wait once every 3 months, like 4 times a year. Otherwise, you highly risk brain damage to your frontal lobe.
Really?
Yeah, and it'll make you fucked up.
Well, at least you're very aware of this stuff.
Yeah,
that helps.
Ketamine is dangerous because it's a sedative, a surgical sedative. But if you limit it to like, I don't know, if you're like one of those people that needs to party every week, like once a week, you'll be fine. Nitrous once a month, otherwise you risk chronic nerve pain.
No, that stuff's bad for you. That stuff's really bad. Shout out to Skrilla.
Yeah,
Skrilla does that stuff like fucking like
he
Tic-Tacs,
he should not be fucking hitting whippets on a daily basis.
He just holds the whole canister.
It's also terrible for his vocal cords, throat, and like everything else.
It's terrible for you. Remember when we were kids? I forget what kid introduced it to us. Obviously there's whippets, right? But then kids were taking down dust off cans like fucking water, like Aquafina.
Yeah, the inhalants,
Similar feeling. It basically is a whippet, but it's probably way worse for
nitrous. It is nitrous, but there's other chemicals in it.
So I did it a couple times when I was younger. Bro, and when you come in contact with the Wawa man, that's no fun. That's all you fucking hear. And you just sink into this fucking, your voice turns into Satan.
Oh, dude, I love my voice on nitrous. I was talking about Richard Ramirez the last time I hit nitrous. I hit a fresh balloon for it.
Fresh.
Yeah, fresh balloon. I did a quadruple, which is like, you get these like little things that you put in like paintball fucking guns.
Yeah.
And you just like put them off in the canister.
Right into the balloon.
Yeah, right into the balloon. And I hit a
There's
quadruple.
that little chamber you screw it in.
Yeah, and I was like, he terrorizes the old, kills the young, Richard Ramirez. And then I went into fucking, I was ready for surgery.
It's so short lived, but it's super goddamn intense.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's a purely hedonistic fucking high. Yeah,
I did it like a handful of times when we were younger. Because I had the dust off and I didn't feel like going through the whole CO2 because we had paintball guns and shit, Titman Pros and shit like that.
Yeah.
But we had the dust off. So we used to hit my one boy did a whole fucking case of them in like a week. That kid was dumb for 3 months.
Yeah, and he also probably like is going to have like arthritis like really bad.
Dude, he was dumb. But I remember doing in my house, I'm like, bro, I can't do this shit. I'm not that stuff kills your brain cells.
It could if you abuse it. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah,
and the wah-wah man that you hear, I hated that noise.
I don't know, man. I do kind of like seeing the veins on the inside of my eyes, though.
Oh my god, you're a sick fuck. Yeah, that stuff's really bad. How many different hallucinogenics have you done? Because there's many. Very obscure ones too, with flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me think.
Have you ever smoked Salvia divinorum?
Yeah. I did that once. It wasn't great. I actually prefer DMT.
So you've done DMT?
I love DMT.
Ooh, you're sick.
One of my favorite things to do is with my friend. He has it in a cart, and me and him will hit DMT at like a rave on the dance floor out of the cart, and just fucking like it makes your joints so relaxed that
you're
like
a sick fuck.
You're not like tired at like 3:30 in the morning dancing around, dripping sweat and shit, and you're just like, all right, I'm cool, but.
Is that a low? Because when people say that they do it, they're like, it's very short-lived DMT apparently.
Yeah.
And you're like stuck where you are. Like, I don't know how the fuck you were dancing.
No, so out of the cart, it's not because you can control the dosage of it.
Also,
with the powder, with the powder, when you break through, when you see the purple lady, that's like what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like they're breaking through.
Like Joe Rogan DMT.
Yeah, trying to like fucking meet the like native spirits and stuff like that. That is an incapacitating drug, but yeah, you're sober after like 10 minutes, but you don't know it's 10 minutes. You're gone for like fucking 3 days. Like
that's crazy, bro.
In that situation. 4-ACO, DMT, and shrooms are basically the same. I've never tried acid. Yeah, acid is LSD.
Morning glory seeds?
No, 1P.
That's what it's called?
There's the Morning Glory seeds is what I was talking about before that you probably shouldn't try. And then there's the 25 IM Boom, which are often like marketed as acid, but they're not real acid. The 1P LSD and all the other subs, like of anything that says like 1P, 2C, like LSD is going to be acid. That's what you want to go for. It just might hit different and might carry more or less micrograms. Let's see, 4-ACO, DMT.
You ever done that? What's the fucking ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca, no. You have to like. It's basically DMT, but you have to go to like a retreat for that. Like, you have to like cook it for like.
Would you do it?
I would definitely try it. Yeah. I would definitely, especially after seeing what the hell's that movie where they go to the Swedish cult?
I don't know.
You definitely do. It was like the same guy made Hereditary.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little drunk.
Midsummer. Yeah, with
the bear.
That shit that he drank, that's ayahuasca. And that movie was really good with what, like, you know, what happens when you take a lot of mushrooms. The visuals were like on point, and that, like, when he drank that, that's what happens when I hit the DMT pen for like more than like 20 seconds. I'm like, oh wow, shit! Like, these visuals are insane. But
that stuff frightens me.
I don't know how the fuck he was able to maintain an erection, let alone like get a girl pregnant, like on that shit. There's no shot, dude. They're like, yeah. But MDMA, obviously, I've tried ecstasy before, but I prefer Molly in its pure form. But, again, definitely test that shit. Yeah. You don't want it to be pure methamphetamine, and you also don't want people throwing Adderall and fentanyl in there. I never tried 5-MeO DMT. My friend tried 3-MeO PCP.
What, dust?
3-MeO PCP is like what it's supposed to be chemically. So it's not like that street shit that you could smoke out of a blunt and be fine. You have to put like bacteriostatic water on a scale. You have to volumetrically dose it in water. Otherwise, you're fucked.
Wow.
Or you could die. 5-MeO DMT is a very intense hallucinogen that is extracted from the Colorado River frog.
Really?
I've never tried that. Yeah.
Wait, is that called licking the toad? Is that similar?
No, it's just extracted from them into like a powder.
But that's the same toad?
Yeah.
Like that's the same?
Yeah, the Colorado River frog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what Mike Tyson talks about.
It's a very intense
toad.
Yeah, it's a very intense hallucinogen. It's not like, so all these things that say like the atom number and the like chemical before it says DMT, they're not all DMT. Like 4-ACO DMT is a psilocybin, like mushrooms. It's just the synthetic version that was extracted, so you don't have to eat the mushrooms.
Okay.
And you use like a much lower amount to achieve the same trip. And you also avoid the nausea from eating a fucking fungus that's trying to make you nauseous, so you throw it up.
Yeah. Like the toad?
Yeah. Never tried 5-MeO DMT. I've been curious, but it's not, it's kind of dangerous. Like there's a chance that if somebody's not around, I could just go into a trance and like fall. And
I'm sure.
Yeah. And then what's the other one? 4-HO-MET. 4-HO-MET is an insane visual high. The visuals are fucking...
What is that?
It's basically like if I took...
You like getting high, bro.
No, I just like tripping. I like to explore, like... they make you think differently. So, like, it's not just like the visuals are cool, but 4-HO-MET, the visuals are... Like, Michael Myers would look like some kind of Aztecian god on your pinball machine right now. Yeah. I would like legitimately be like, what the fuck is that? And I've watched that movie like fucking like 400 times. But they make you think differently. Like LSD forces you to think about your problems. And I think that's why a lot of people are scared of it and have like bad trips. But there's no other way out than through. So you better come up with a solution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like it beats you down. It's like being in the military. It like beats you down and builds you back up. In a way, like you come out the other end like a little bit smarter, a little bit better. Like, oh shit, like even small stuff. It's like, oh, I got to read more books. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's so it makes you think that way, and also it's fun.
Yeah, to you.
Yeah,
it frightens me. I have a friend, and when I first met you, remember, like I said, you were intriguing to me because of your love for hallucinogenics. And there's a friend that I have named Matt Ferriolo. And I've been begging him for a while to come do a podcast. Because at one point he was a shaman, quote unquote, and everything.
Oh, so he could get me the ayahuasca.
He could probably, I just reconnected with him probably 6 months ago. And I haven't talked to him maybe in a decade, right?
Oh, wow, okay.
One of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life. And I was going to save this story for when I did a podcast with him, which I hope I do. Mm-hmm. But I'll repeat it then when I see him.
Yeah.
Because he probably is not going to hear this one.
Yeah.
I don't take him as a person who would listen to my podcast. But anyway, I was in middle school and he's a year older than me. So I probably was either in 6th or 7th grade and he was in either 7th or 8th. And you remember those desks you had in school where they had space underneath for your books?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So one day I go into class. I forget what class I was in, but somebody forgot their binder, their trapper keeper underneath my desk. And it was one of those ones that had that clear cover over it so you could put your own pages in it.
Okay. Yeah, like an essay one.
Yeah, so whatever. It was clear so you could put cover art, whatever the case may be. So I open it up, I pull it out of the desk, and dude, there was this intricate, beautifully shaded pencil drawing of Day of the Dead.
Oh, really?
And I was fucking blown away because, there's people that could draw, right?
Yeah.
But at the grade that I was in, most of the kids in my class couldn't draw that good.
Yeah, like a mosaic.
And I opened this, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm a horror guy. A lot of kids in my grade aren't into horror movies. So I was kind of like alone. I was an outcast.
Yeah.
So I felt like, wow, I finally found somebody that I can relate to, that I can connect with. And the kid next to me, which was Andrew Lapone, shout out to Andrew Lapone, he was like, oh, I know who that is. That's Matt Ferriolo. I was like, can you bring me to him?
Bring me to him.
Like he's some fucking guy.
Yeah,
right?
like you're fucking trying to get your button in the mafia.
Yeah. Bring me to him, please. And he was like, yeah, I'll show you who he is. So now I didn't want to meet him, but I did. The reason why I didn't want to meet him is because I wanted to keep the drawing.
Oh,
it was that ill.
Yeah.
It was that ill. I wanted it. But I didn't see Day of the Dead at the time, but I know what it was. I very well knew what it was because I couldn't forget that cover art, that VHS cover art.
Yeah.
With like that sunrise behind him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need this. So I finally met him and I was like, here, I don't want to hand this back to you, but it's not mine. It's rightfully yours here. He was like, oh, thank you. And that's how we became friends. And he, all throughout high school, he's the one that introduced me to Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh God, what a film!
Like none of us knew what that was, but he was up on horror movies. This was like his love.
Yeah,
and he had a bootleg copy of it and the whole nine. Because remember back then it was banned in many countries.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So he showed me Faces of Death, like the whole nine, like Lucio Fulci's Zombie.
Nice.
And not only was he such a good artist, but he did other stuff too. Like he was very good with pastels. And he liked to carve jack-o'-lanterns, but he did them so intricately where they looked like paintings. But then he was so talented.
Yeah, good spatial awareness.
Yeah, but he was very into hallucinogenics. And nobody in our school was into them like he was.
Okay.
He was adopted. I believe he's actually he's maybe originally from Peru. I'm not sure. Some sort of Hispanic country.
Okay.
Latino country. And he was very into hallucinogenics. And he's the only other person that I've ever met besides you that had a really good understanding of them and an enjoyment in taking them. But he took it to the next level, whereas you've done a lot.
Yeah.
But he's done, like, I could probably say even more, to the point where he was flying to Florida and finding these flowers that he could pick, that he could trip off of, and he was storing them in fridges and freezers. And,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Like he was big into them, and he discovered nutmeg can get you high. And
yeah, nutmeg.
In high school, he was going to health food stores, buying empty capsules to make your own vitamins. And he was stuffing nutmeg in them.
Oh, yeah.
And taking like 25 pills to equate to whatever it was you needed.
That's what I do for, I do that with MDMA and...
it's an easier way to take them.
2CB. Yeah, because you
volumetric. You do the 2C?
2CB is great, man. 2CB
You like that 2C?
2C great.
That pink 2C?
No, not that's the fake. I watched
That's
the
the
same
fake
Vice.
2C?
I've watched the same Vice.
2C.
Nobody making the 2CB that I get is the
Take a bump
smoking
of the
crack in the
2C.
fucking kitchen.
I love the 2C.
Oh yeah, 2CB, like the real 2CB, the two subs like 2CB, 2CE, they're all good hallucinogens.
Oh, okay.
2CB used to be sold like K2 at gas stations in the 70s.
It was pink powder.
No. It was an aphrodisiac, like the rhino pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sold like that, but people then were like, "Why am I tripping?"
But there was guys I know that used to bump 2C was pink powder.
Yeah, that's pink cocaine. That's the fake version. The cartels have been putting that out. It's
shit.
a mixture of a lot of very dangerous drugs and could contain high amounts of fentanyl. If you watch Vice, there's they show you how they cook it in in Colombia, and
I
there's
wanted to watch that. I didn't get to watch it yet.
there's like cartel people with like assault rifles, and then this guy's like, everyone just stands quietly while this guy fucking hits a crack pipe for like 40 seconds.
The fucking 2C.
And they're like, the guy that does the interview is like, "Oh, there's crack in that?" He's like, "No, I just like crack."
Oh my god.
And he's cooking it in like a fucking frying pan at like gunpoint.
Jesus.
It's nuts. Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff always fascinated me. I would never do it. It's not for me. But I enjoyed learning about it and watching. And Matt did it all.
Yeah.
Like he used one day I caught him behind it wasn't a Walgreens. What was there in Verona? I'm sorry, this alcohol got me twisted. What was the name of it? Whatever. It was like a Rite Aid or something, right? And I'm there after on the weekend one day, and he's inside of a shopping cart, and his friends like rolling him in the shopping cart around town. And I looked at him, and his eyes were beet red.
Oh,
So I thought, I was like, "Oh, would you smoke a blunt?" He's like, "No, I took a bunch of nutmeg." I was like, "Nutmeg?" Like he was the first person to like introduce me to like you could get high off nutmeg, and I didn't know that was a real thing. But your eyes turn red like pot,
Yeah.
and like that's what I mean. Like this is in middle school. This kid was doing this shit. You know, like this is back in the day. 'Cause I'm a little. How old are you again?
33.
Yeah, so I'm 37. So and he was a year older than me. So he was doing this stuff like when nobody was doing it.
Yeah. he's way ahead of his
Then
time.
one day I go into high school and I walk in the bathroom to go take a piss. And there's this fucking poor kid. You know the urinals that went all the way to the floor?
Yeah.
Those big ones?
Yeah.
So he's like this. Kind of like before with the whole hand
The
clench.
fucking hand,
I don't know
yeah.
if that must be a drug fucking thing where they clench the hands.
I've never done
He was
anything like that.
He was like this in the fucking urinal, curled up in a ball. I was like, "Bro, what the fuck are you doing, bro?" He said, "In the urinal, disgusting." He's like, "Bro, I can't calm down off this trip." He's like, "I've been tripping for fucking hours off morning glory seeds." I was
Morning
like,
Glory.
Jesus Christ. He would buy them at the garden center, morning glory seeds, throwing them in those capsules and downing like
That's
40
what
of them.
yeah. So they use lighter fluid to burn those and process them to make fake LSD tabs. You're not supposed to take them crazy like that, though. He was basically on like 20 tabs of LSD.
Yeah, so he was tripping balls, but this is what this kid did.
Yeah.
And he always, then he eventually got into heroin, unfortunately. Moved to Florida, got clean, came back, came out to me that he was gay, which I actually talked briefly about that in my podcast with my cousin Vinny, my gay cousin.
Yeah.
We talk about, I briefly touched on him, and he was the first kid that ever came out to me.
Oh, really?
In person, and it was like weird at first. But, so Matt's like, I really need to get him in here, but it's been tough to do it.
Yeah.
But he's done it all these weird things. And then he started growing his own spores with the shrooms. Then he became a shaman, and he's a very crafty guy.
That might become legal in New Jersey soon enough, man.
Oh, yeah,
Grow
yeah,
your
for
own
sure.
shrooms. Yeah, no, there's a bill that's being passed where
I heard.
where we'll be able to grow our own shrooms. That'll be fun.
Well, you would like Matt. You guys could.
I probably would. Yeah,
You would love him. And
I would probably
his
like him,
art
yeah.
is, he's doing this thing now where he's taking black t-shirts and doing bleach art on them.
Cool.
And they look like full-on detailed paintings, but he's just bleaching the negative portion of the painting.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
he's making the negative.
It's crazy, dude. It's nuts. If you could pick a favorite drug, what would it be? I would assume it's acid.
Molly.
Really?
Yeah. Even though I can only do it 4 times a year, dude, everything is awesome. The only thing that sucks is, for me, absolute boner killer. But
Really?
it is, if I were to be on Molly here, nobody would want to stop talking to me. It's an empathogen. It boosts the serotonin in your brain so you become more social, more trusting. If you have like depression, that's completely gone for like 8 hours.
And everything feels good.
Everything is awesome. Even the shittiest music you've ever heard in your life sounds like a fucking musical masterpiece by Beethoven himself.
Yeah, if I were to ever do any drug, and I were able to, because I can't because of my job, it would be that one.
Molly is the best.
I'm not scared of that as I am everything else.
Yeah, if you take MDA, which is like fake Molly, you'll get like visuals and shit like that. But that just you're not supposed to be doing that.
MDMA, you don't really hallucinate though. It's more of a feel.
No, you
thing,
shouldn't.
Right?
It's as long as you dose it properly. Yeah, and Molly is MDMA, but like as long as you dose it properly, you shouldn't. The only danger that you have is like the serotonin, like.
The come down to be angry or whatever.
Yeah, but that again like depends on like being like, oh, I'm going to take like 85 milligrams. I'm like a 125-pound girl. It's like, no, you shouldn't do that at all, dude. That's nuts.
I mean, that happens with painkillers.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's like kind of like counting macros. Like, you know how you're not supposed to like eat like 3,000 calories if you're like, if you never work out or like, you know what I mean, or you weigh like 120 pounds. Just don't take a massive amount of fucking drugs.
So Molly's your favorite?
Molly's my favorite by far.
I just had a podcast with my friend Bobby, and he was telling me he loves Molly. We talked about a couple.
Nice. He
loves the Molly. Never done anything besides painkillers, like I told you, and tree, and that's it. I've never done cocaine. It's not a thing for me.
Yeah, cocaine is like a really low safety profile. It's like not really worth it.
I'm not into drugs really, but
I'm not really either, except for hallucinogens. I only like rave drugs, I guess, is like, you know.
That's your favorite though?
Yeah.
Is
Molly is my favorite. Acid is a close second.
Wow.
By a fairly considerable margin.
Is it possible for you to verbalize what each drug feels like and the differences between them? I know that's kind of difficult because everybody has a different perception of what it feels like and what you see on it and stuff.
Do you mean like the tactile feeling or like the mental?
Both.
Okay, so
let's do this. Acid and shrooms. From my understanding is shrooms alters what's there. Acid can make things appear that aren't there. Is that accurate?
With my experience with acid, I've never seen anything that wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah, and I've taken up to 10 tabs before. So acid just like, so for example, on acid, you would just kind of like look like a wavy, like weird patterns, like, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't like
fractals and...
In a way, yeah. In a way, it would be like a kaleidoscope vision, but in a way, like I wouldn't see anything that wasn't there. There wouldn't be like some cartoon elephant coming in and out of the room. Like you don't hallucinate with shrooms. It's similar, but the visuals are less. With shrooms, it feels like I am like extremely just like completely relaxed. With acid, I feel like intense. Like it's just like I want to work out right now. Like I need to get up and move. I need to like do something. Like I have so much kinetic energy.
Really?
Yeah. The only thing that with acid though that I say will happen more with shrooms, at least for me specifically, is I want to smoke more cigarettes.
You know what's interesting about drugs is they all hit everybody different.
Yeah.
So like I'll get a different answer from somebody else. That's why I like to ask everybody these questions, because you're always going to get a different answer.
Yeah. With Molly, the tactile feeling, everything about Molly, I can explain to anybody that is listening that can relate to. Imagine eating the best sandwich you've ever had for like 5 straight hours. It's so good. Everything about it, the tactile feel, like you'll like touch your pants and be like, ooh, like you just discovered cloth for the first time. Like everything is just awesome.
And that's why I imagine sex on Molly can ruin your normal sex life.
A lot of people say that, but I've never been able to achieve a hard-on Molly.
Unfortunately.
No, but on acid though.
Really?
Doggy.
That's so fun. See, everybody's different.
God, dude. My ex-girlfriend fell asleep bent over a fucking beanbag chair when I was tripping on acid once, because like I last forever, and I just have so much like the blood flow.
It's like doing opiates.
I think it is. I think it's because of the increased blood flow for me. So like, you know, more blood is going to my dick. So I'm just like boom, boom, boom.
Opiates are the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about before. It's like you can go forever.
Yeah.
And not come or nothing.
Plus, like, like I'm gonna get like kind of vulgar, but like her ass got like bigger, and so like it like fucking like it went like woo, like it just like kept getting bigger.
You know
and
what that
smaller.
reminds me of? When you say that, you ever play the Simpsons arcade game when you're blowing out the fucking
Yes,
head?
exactly. It's just like that. It's just like fucking it.
Krusty the Clown
It
shit.
contracts and like and it expands, and it was great. And then her tattoos looked cool too because like you know
They
they're
probably
artwork,
came
and I'm
off her
tripping on
skin.
acid. No, they just moved around, and I was like, that didn't do that before.
That's weird. Yeah, I couldn't. God bless you, man. I couldn't do any of that. Could you tell the craziest experience you've ever had that was positive, and which drug was it? And then at the same time, can you give me the worst drug experience you ever had, the worst trip you've ever had, and what happened during it?
I've only had one bad trip ever, and it lasted for 2 hours. So I'll start with the other one. No, it only lasted for 2 hours, and
That's a long time, though.
It didn't feel that long because I was tripping on acid. Your time like thing, like 10 hours are up before you even know it.
Really?
It's insane. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But craziest positive drug experience I've ever had was when my friend, his name is Dean Forrest.
That sounds familiar for some reason.
He's
Why?
this dude that was originally from the UK. He's the guy that got me into bodybuilding. Shout out to him if he hears this. He's this British dude that's covered in fucking tattoos. He's absolutely jacked out of his mind. He lives in Texas now. But me and him were tripping on acid at his house, and he wanted me to try his new fucking weed cart, but he forgot to switch out the DMT cart because he was tripping.
No.
And he handed it to me, and I ripped it, and he was like, he's like, how's the weed, mate? And I was like, bro, this isn't. And then I was like, fucking, I blasted off, and then I handed it. I was like handing it back to him, like I was like in a daze, and then he just takes it and shrugs his shoulders and also hits it. And his wife was like, what the fuck did you guys just do? Why are you guys like both catatonic? And I came out of it first. I was like, yeah, that was definitely not weed. I think that was DMT.
Oh man.
She was like, did he fucking forget to? It was ridiculous, but we were all fucked. She didn't like engage in that with us. She was like really drunk, but yeah, me and him were like sitting there 6 a.m.
Wow.
Fucking, he finally changed out the weed pen and he dropped it in the couch cushion by accident. And then he, one of the best quotes I've ever heard in my life, he found it. He's like, oh, thank God, more drugs. I'm like, it's like 6 a.m. the next day. He's like, that sounds a little degenerate, doesn't it, mate? I'm like, yeah, it does, bro.
It's not like a good Brit.
Yeah. Oh, he's an awesome dude. He quit everything though.
Really?
Yeah, he became religious. He lives in Texas now on like his own like plot of land.
They usually
He's a
do,
kid.
huh?
Yeah, he totally like clean. He's an awesome guy.
Off the grid.
Yeah.
So what was your worst? And what made it so bad?
I don't know. I'll never be able to explain to you what made it so bad. It came on at like that for me. We were on our way to go to a rave and we were in my friend's car and I was like, I can't do this. And then I had to Uber back to my house from Newark because that's where my friend lived. But he lived over by the Belleville side, like right by the Wawa, by what do you call it? Branch Brook Park. That's where
over
he lived
there.
at.
Okay.
Yeah. He lived not far from Stephen Crane, but we were in the car and I just couldn't do it. And then I sat in my room for 2 hours drinking cold water, just staring at the ceiling. And I was like, all right, I'm okay. And then I got up.
This was acid.
Yeah. And then I got up and then I went to the rave like kind of late in the night. And I tripped I tripped hard until about noon the next day and then fucking went into a coma for 6 hours before I got up and met up with them again to go to another show.
Jesus Christ.
My friend was like, here, just take some Adderall. You'll be all right. I was like, all right. Yeah.
What kind of thoughts were in your mind when you were...
I was just like kind of panicking about the most nonsensical things. Like, what if we get into a car accident on the way there? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
But weed can do that shit to you, which is crazy.
Never happened to me. That is the only time I've ever had a bad trip in my entire life on any substance I've ever taken.
Weed's powerful, in my opinion, man. Depending on who, it's subjective to who's taking it.
Yeah.
But dude, I've like panicked hard off pot before.
Yeah.
Like hard.
Yeah. You could.
Hard.
You could. There was like a time where I got really nervous in the subway once and then it faded after like 2 seconds. But the only time I've ever had like a bad trip where I couldn't snap myself out of it immediately using logic was that
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't. That stuff scares the fuck out of me. Number one, I can't really do that shit. I mean, I don't want to, but I couldn't anyway because of my job.
Yeah.
So I don't do any drug. I just drink alcohol, clearly. That's what I'm doing tonight. But all that stuff kind of like, freaks me the fuck out. Now that you've tried like all those different drugs and you've tried all the stuff that you have, which drug do you think you'll always do periodically and why?
Molly. Because it's the best. And as long as you use it safely, you're good to go. And also LSD. LSD is something that...
So both your favorites, no matter what, you'll still do them
no matter what, because there's ways to do them responsibly. It's like, all right, shit, I don't got to be at work tomorrow or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could trip for like the next 12 hours and just sleep it off later. And
Are you ever worried that it'll alter your mental circuitry?
It could, but the thing is, I've extensively researched the safety profiles of them, so I don't worry about that too much as long as I dose them properly and don't fucking trip on 10 tabs of acid every single time I do it and I'll take tolerance breaks because you build a tolerance to LSD like really quickly. Like, all right, let's say I took like a tab of acid like right now. I would trip pretty nicely, but if I took it again tomorrow, it would wear off in like fucking 10 minutes. Like it wouldn't even be worth it. So it's also kind of like a utilitarian, what do you call it? Like reservation. So it's like, all right, I'm going to take a break for like 2 weeks. I'll take 2CB instead.
2C. But I just love saying that.
2CB I could take or leave because that's like a really weird drug. Like, I don't know. Like sometimes I get like really like sedated on it before getting like super energetic, but the problem is by the time I get super energetic, there's nothing to do. Like I'm already back home.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck, man. Like I don't, you know what I mean? It's okay though.
I was talking to I did it. Like I said, I recorded a podcast, the same one with my friend with the Molly. Mm-hmm. We were talking about ketamine, and I told him that I had this fond memory of it. I'd never done it, but I had friends that do it, and I remember vividly. I was pretty hammered this night, but I remember vividly they were all cooking up K in this kid's kitchen. It was like a crazy party. Mm-hmm. And I remember the smell being dangerous. Like candy.
Yeah.
It smelled, am I correct? He agreed with me, but I want another voice.
All right,
I remember it smelling sweet when it was being cooked.
I've never been there for the processing of ketamine, but the way ketamine, I guess what you could call anything you snort smells is probably, it's a terrible nasal drip.
Yeah, of course.
But it smells like somebody that, like I snorted somebody's powdered blood that eats a lot of red meat. Like it's so metallic.
See, this didn't smell like that to me. It smelled like candy in the air.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I've never been there for the processing of that, so I can't speak to that nature. Oh, okay. I can only tell you what my experience like.
You got the end result powder or whatever.
I've never like injected it. I've only snorted like 2-3 bumps off of the end of a fucking key. And maybe because it was off of a key, that's why it came that way to me. But
yeah, I remember it vividly being, like I said, I was pretty hammered. I remember like they were cooking it, like they had the bottle of it.
Yeah.
They were like cooking it into the powder.
Yeah.
And I remember it smelling like candy. Not cotton candy, but some sort of like sweet.
Yeah, some kind of
it was bizarre to me.
Some kind of like sugary.
Yeah, yes.
I've never been there for it.
And seeing a couple of my friends fall into a K-hole.
Yeah, they took too much, so
I do not. I can't. Have you ever been in a K-hole?
No, I've never done enough ketamine to the point where I was incapacitated. Like I've ketamine, because it's a surgical sedative, scares me a little bit. I like it. I really enjoy being on ketamine, and I found out once with one experience that despite popular belief that for me specifically, it boosts my sex drive exponentially. Like it makes me like it makes me like a sexual deviant.
So drugs just make you horny.
Sometimes, except for like Molly and shrooms and DMT, but like the ones that like increase blood flow. With the exception of Molly, because of the methamphetamine in Molly. The ones that increase blood flow, or I don't know why ketamine does. I really don't, but I looked at her and I was like, whew. And I was like a deviant. It was a problem. And actually, funny story, the funniest peer pressure I've ever sustained in my life, she turned and looked at me and was like, "You should do more. I really like you on this drug." And I started laughing so fucking hard I couldn't control it. It was like I'm pretty good at like controlling laughter in situations where I shouldn't be laughing. Mm-hmm. But in that situation, I was like, "Did you just peer pressure me into doing drugs so that I'd have sex with you?"
You just want me to keep getting high.
Yeah, like incredible, and it worked. I got up like the fucking Manchurian Candidate and took 2 more bumps, but it's how do I describe ketamine? It's like what people describe being on like robo tripping. Like your proprioception is absolutely shot.
I've heard some people say it's kind of like a real strong drunk.
In a way, like walking is a challenging.
It's horse tranquilizer, right?
Yeah, and it's also a sedative that they use for surgery, like oral surgery and shit like that. I don't know if you ever played Manhunt, but yeah,
we were talking about that. Reading about the shirt recently.
Yes, the limited time release, bro. I had to get it, but I've been looking for a Manhunt shirt for like 21 years. I had to get it.
Yeah, you needed that.
But so the character that you play as is supposed to be getting a lethal injection, but based on like what happens and how he's like really hazy when he comes out of it, I personally believe that he was given ketamine, and that's what happens when you K-hole. You're moving is an extraordinarily. My friend used to K-hole all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and moving is an extraordinarily challenging experience. But if you do it too many times in a short interval, you start to get like really nauseous, like you're pregnant. Like where moving around makes you like want to puke. I wouldn't describe it as being like strongly drunk, but from my experience, the closest I came to K-holing was when I did 5 bumps with my friends, and we were coming down off of Molly at the time, and I saw these like bright red like laser triangular like prisms just like moving around on the floor, and I became like nonverbal for like 20 minutes, and
Jesus.
I had to walk up my friend's stairs, and he had no banister, so I'm like, fuck, like I almost crawled up the stairs, you know what I mean, like on all fours, because I was like, I gotta piss, man, like I just can't wait. But other than that, I limit ketamine usage because it's a surgical sedative, which scares me, because I don't want to like, fucking go under, and you know what I mean? I also don't want to piss blood. So it's safe to use once a week if you're a user, but like in small increments, like maybe 2-3 bumps, but I limit myself to like maybe like every once in a month and a half. I haven't done it in like 2 months. And before that, I didn't do it for 3 months.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You smoke pot regularly, right?
Yeah, fucking
every day.
Yeah.
Before you came here.
Yeah, I was on my way here. I smoked weed.
Yeah. I wish I could, but I can't because of my work situation, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, I can't. We get randoms, man.
But wait, a drug test in like legal states would fuck that up?
Can't do it, man.
That's crazy that that you could drive the train that I'm on into the city to go and buy weed, but not smoke it where it's legal. I can walk. It
doesn't matter. Company policy,
That's
company
crazy.
policy, It's unfortunate.
That's crazy.
So I have to watch my wife do it every weekend.
Oh, you know what it is? I think it might be because they have to worry about federal mandates.
Well,
yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
So they would have to make it federally legal before I guess my company could even like consider it.
Dude, that
sucks.
Like, refusal to make it federally legal is like one of the financially stupidest things I've ever been made aware of this like government ever doing. Like, you would make so much fucking money if you just legalized it in all 50 states. Like, you would be able to tax it everywhere.
Yeah. Dude, I brought my wife to that Rise in Patterson. Mm-hmm. If you told me that was possible when I was in like 8th grade, I would never believe you.
I know. The first time I ever got a receipt for buying weed, I was like, struck stupid. I was like, I got a receipt for buying weed? Dude, I walked in there, they're IDing you at the door. I'm like, all right, we go on to the next one with the computer screen. Yeah.
Pick Jack Herrera. Like, I could just select it. Like,
well, the first time I bought weed legally was in Los Angeles when I went to Anime Expo.
Oh, wow. That must have been crazy.
And, they gave me a receipt. It's a different thing. They just ID you, and then you go into the room, and then, like, some girl, like, in a really low-cut top is like, what do you want? I'm like, all right, just give me the weed. Like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give me that bud.
Give me that, because I can't get that in New Jersey, so I'll try it out.
Yeah.
And these prices are fucking incredible. It's like $35 for like a quarter ounce of like really good weed.
Yeah, but it's a good feeling knowing that it's like it's legit and it's controlled.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything laced.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good feeling.
That and getting a receipt for it. I'm telling you, getting that receipt for buying weed the first time in my life, I was like, what the fuck? There's nobody sitting in their like fucking Honda Civic, like 1997 Civic, like fucking writing out a receipt. Like,
it's crazy.
Sell me an eighth.
Even like this one's for headaches and this one's for this.
Yeah,
like they break it down for you.
They're like the terpenes in this. I'm like, bro, I'm from New Jersey. Like I don't have a PhD in, but like, you know, I'm not a botanist.
You could tailor make it for you and for what your purpose. It's crazy. It's amazing. It really is. Do you ever think that drugs have changed or desensitized you in any way? Also in combination with the type of like horror movies and stuff that you enjoy to watch. Do you think that drugs have altered and desensitized you in any way?
Desensitized? No. When I'm under the influence of something like Molly, I watched, what did I watch? There was a gore movie that I watched on Molly, and I actually like felt fucked up by it.
Tumbling Dolls of Flesh?
No, it might have been Guinea Pig 2.
Guinea Pig is gross. I don't like those movies.
Yeah, but I was trying to show it to my friend, and because he's like really into gore as well, and I don't think. I mean, the only other time that I would say yes was the same time that we hit ketamine that one time. And then at like 6 a.m, my friend's laying on his living room floor and he's like, let's watch some tentacle hentai. And he just puts it on. And there's like some Pokemon character getting like
shot.
Like fucking, shot. Just like all the way through. And that's what he said. He was like, oh yeah, all the way through. And I'm like, oh man. But I thought like the character wound up getting decapitated and I just couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I don't even know why I think this is funny. I don't even know why I think this is funny. And that's like really the only time I felt like I was in an altered state where like with stuff like that. Yeah. Or at least adjacent.
Yeah. So, but before we cap this off, there's a topic that I have to touch because it was one thing that took me for a surprise from you.
Okay.
Your obsession with gangster rap.
Oh,
and when I say gangster rap, to those listening, I'm not talking about the drill shit you listen to on the radio or NWA. I'm talking about real gangster rap.
The gangbangers that I listen to?
Actual real thugs, real gangbangers that make generally horrible music.
Yeah.
But you have this obsession. I've never met anybody that has such a deep obsession for real thug rap. How did that start with you?
Because
it's very fascinating. I'm familiar with a lot of the people you are too, just because I like to listen to everything.
Yeah.
But you're actually in it. Like you love that shit.
I love it because I think, I mean, if I had to really put a point on it, I think it's the same thing as my dissension into more and more depraved when it comes to horror movies. The only thing that, like, of depravity that I've been able to avoid is, like, porn. And thank God for that.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be in fucking shackles in, like, ADX, Colorado. But I think it's the same thing. It's just like I always seek, like I dive, like I'm a lot like you. I dive really deep into any hobby that I really like, and I just seek the more extreme, the more extreme. Like, how far can this go? How far does this go? You know what I mean? Before, like, you know, like how far can I watch horror movies before I'm like, you know, fucking one of those people that's like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like I don't want to watch a snuff film, but.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll go as far as I can before that occurs, but I think it's the same thing. And it's just like a lot of the time it's just like, am I fucked up for listening to this rapper that I know actually committed the murders that he's talking about?
Yeah,
on this
it's
thing?
crazy, man.
But like this beat is so good. It's like something about like the authenticity of it.
That's what I like about it. That.
Yeah. Like it's not like some guy like Rick Ross who was like a prison guard pretending he's like some fucking cocaine kingpin. Like, nope. I better enjoy this guy's music now before he's either shot or put in prison for the entire rest of his life.
Or
like,
dead.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's one of those, like, okay, I mean, this guy, I don't condone any of that shit.
Of course not.
It's like, this guy's a total scumbag, but at least I know where he stands. And the music he makes is pretty good. I'm like,
it's kind of fun to live vicariously through other people.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's also like an educating experience. I'm never going to know what it's like to be in the Norteños. I'm not a Mexican, and I also don't live in Northern California.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like, something about it is just like, oh man, this is what these guys are really about. Like, they really do this. Like, they're bragging about being in a maximum security prison at like fucking 16 years old, and they think that they look at it the same way that my grandparents would look at me if I graduated college. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, you didn't get stabbed on the yard today. Nice. Like,
it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, that's
I enjoy that stuff. I have a lot of guilty pleasures, and I enjoy just reading about the stuff, hearing it. It's cool to just know about it. It's interesting. It's fucked up, but
it's also probably good to know if I like go to, you know, places that I don't know. Yeah. It's like, oh, you know, I know I shouldn't go to this area because I'm like, you know, I don't match the description of somebody that should be there, and also like understand what somebody's saying to me if they confront me. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like also like almost like a survivalist utility. Yeah. And it's nice to know they're not faking the funk like a lot of these mainstream rappers. Yeah. That are just literally lying. Yeah. But it's unfortunate we lost a lot of decent rappers to, like, you know, criminal issues, like legal issues, like like what's his name, TK. We're never gonna get another album from him unless he's like what's his name, Lil Romeo's uncle. Lil Romeo's uncle? C Murder. C Murder. Oh, C Murder. Yeah. C Murder. C Murder's dope. Yeah. You know who my favorite gangster rapper is? I've told you many times. GME Bands. God rest his soul. He was the best. My city full of them demons. Yeah. I loved him, bro. Yeah, they certainly were full of the demons. Yeah, so was Fredo Santana. He's dead too. A lot of them are. A lot of those Chicago rappers, it's like they drop like a mixtape that's insanely good, and then like the next day they're shot. And they're so young. Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy. That's what happens when you think it's a good idea to walk up to a dice game when you're 13 with a 357 and start squeezing the trigger, man. I mean, these kids don't. That's what's crazy. Like, years ago, you used to fear, like, you know, at least like the 20, 30-year-old cats that were banging for years. Yeah. Now you're fearing 17-year-old kids. Yeah. Because they're the ones that don't give a fuck. Well, they're also trying to make a rep for themselves. They know they're not going anywhere else. It's like, if I pop this guy, then when I go inside, I'm going in as like basically like a fucking celebrity. Everybody's going to be like, oh, there he is. Fuck. Yeah. They're fucking crazy. And then there's cats you can't tell if they're about it, but they're around them, like Trill Sammy. Yeah. And cats like that. Like, I don't know if he's really about that. He might be. I think the biggest example of that is Lil Durk. Yes. Lil Durk is like one of those people that like I'm super on the fence about. I'm like, is he really about that life with the O Block shit? Yeah, but a lot of people that that you know are like in his corner. So it's like maybe, but he's just like being very smart. And then you have like Partisan Fontaine. I think that guy definitely would be like if about it. Yeah, like no, I think he's just connected to people that are, but if like something happened to him, those people would be in his corner and you would be in trouble. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't know. It is fun to like just sit on YouTube and go down a rabbit hole because that's where all that videos lie. Yeah. What was that cat that I showed you, GM Coca or whatever? Yes. That cat's dope. That sounds like the baby. Awesome. Yeah, that song was awesome. He's in jail still right now, I think. I think he's still in jail or prison. But then there are rappers that surprise you that like you don't think would ever do anything. Like Tory Lanez, I would never think that guy was going to. I didn't think that guy was ever going to squeeze the trigger on like. I don't think he did, bro. Free Tory. I don't believe it. Fuck Megan. That horse. That horse. I don't think he did it, bro. I think it was her friend, that girl. I got a bit of a crush on Megan Thee Stallion, but that's my love for black women, bro. Bitch. Yeah. You see me talking crazy shit on that. Bro, that girl that was her friend that was in that, she's the one that pulled that trigger, not him. You think so? Yeah, absolutely, bro. He didn't do it. That's true. If the Avalon Gangster Crips can employ the women to be their shooters. She was protecting her friend, bro. She wasn't. She's the one that pulled that shit. Yeah. I don't believe it, bro. Free Tory. But still, Tory's dope, bro. But still, even then, I would not think that somebody would be. I don't think that when I first heard "Talk to Me," I wasn't like, this guy's going to be charged with a violent gun-related crime in like the
soft,
near future.
Bro. Yeah. He's soft.
There's no situation where I thought that was going to occur.
Bro, he's ill though. He's talented.
I do like his music. I love his music. Yeah.
He's super. And then he did that fucking like 80s dance record that was Flames.
I never heard it on my
Oh, you gotta check that out.
I'll have to check it out. I have liked his music so far. I'm just not like a super fan.
Yeah. I'm not a super fan either, but I appreciate him. I think he's fire.
I'm too busy listening to fucking
Jamie Bands. All these
and fucking Young Iggs.
Yeah. You know what I like, man? That's not like that. I like that West Coast sound.
Yeah.
Like I always like Dom Kennedy and shit because I like the way they flow, that West Coast flow. G Perico.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He's dope.
Yeah.
I fuck with that cat heavy, man.
I remember when like people like didn't know about Vince Staples.
Oh, Vince is fire.
He is, but I remember I used to tell people they should listen to Vince Staples, and they're like, "Oh, that's not my style." And like 5 years later, people were like, "All right, Vince Staples is really good." I'm like, "Fuck, man!"
He's funny too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's real tight with Earl, and they've caught some crazy waves together.
I think Earl's sweatshirt is like really, really good. Like really, really underappreciated as like a like rapper.
Yeah, you know what's weird? So I found out about him in the beginning, like right before he went away, when his mom put him away to that where was that school that he got remember nobody knew where he was? There was like the whole free Earl
like vanished for a while. Yeah.
Oh fuck, I'm sorry, my brain is shot. Whenever I drink I can't remember anything. But she sent him away to boarding school. Where was the boarding school? Do you remember?
No. I didn't look too much into it. I just figured he'll be out soon.
But it was around that time. So shout out to my boy TMFSC, the man from somewhere else, who is an incredible rapper. I got to show you him before we leave.
Okay.
He's unbelievable. So he showed me Earl's sweatshirt. It was right when they dropped that single off of his original Earl mixtape, when they're all like yakking in the fucking in the video doing drugs and shit.
Yeah,
it was like, wow. I was like, yo, what is this? And even though he was talking nonsense in it, I saw the talent in him. And right after he dropped that mixtape, that was the mixtape that sent him away. And his mom heard that, like all the sacrilegious, like all the crazy, because those kids are like wild, outlandish maniacs, the old Odd Future cats.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I heard of Odd Future, and then I found Tyler the Creator and you know the rest of them, and that's when
you started with Earl Sweatshirt before Tyler the Creator.
Yep.
Okay,
I
only know about them because of that Adult Swim show that they made that was like basically
that was after
Trigger Happy TV.
What was the name of that shit? Loiter Squad. So now this shit is like way earlier. Like I found them kind of in the beginning.
Okay,
but Tyler already had a couple projects out, but Earl was clearly the illest one. And then that was when I found out about them and I got obsessed. And like I went down a rabbit hole, and then that was when I found Haji Beats and like, you know, Damogenesis and like the whole, that's how I connected like all of them.
Yeah.
And I still have all those old mixtapes on my thing, but then Tyler like really exploded and Earl was still away at the boarding school. And if you remember when Tyler won the Grammy for Yonkers.
Okay.
He came out on MTV, not Grammy, the MTV award or whatever.
Yeah.
So he came out. And he held up a shirt that said Free Earl. I have that shirt. No bullshit.
Really?
Not the one that was in his hand.
Well, yeah.
But there's a venue called The Echo in LA.
Okay.
And when they were starting out bubbling like that, I found out about Earl. They performed a show. Tyler performed a show at The Echo in LA. And they made a couple of quick merchandise to sell there. And that's where they made the original Free Earl shirts. There's tons of fakes out there. These shirts were only available that night at the Echo. And some kid that bought a shirt there threw it on eBay like the following week.
Yeah.
And I snagged it. And it's the original one. And there's many reasons why I could tell you it's original. There's no need for me to tell you that now.
Okay.
But it's the right color, everything. Beautiful. I bought it like back in the day. And I kept it the whole time. Then one day I saw him win that award for Yonkers. And he pulled the shirt out on the stage, and I went ballistic. And I still have that shirt.
Nice.
A bunch of weird Odd Future freaks always like message me on the boards like they want to buy it off me because I like flaunted it on there. But I don't know why. But I got obsessed for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was when I got that. And then Earl came out and dropped Doris, and Doris was fire. Earl now, I'm not a big fan of.
I'm not a big fan of like his newer stuff either. The The song that made me like Earl Sweatshirt was Mantra. I liked it for
He's dope, man.
For some reason, I was like, this dude really used like a spaghetti western as like the beat. You know what I mean?
He's
Like,
dope, man.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's incredible. So like, I fell in love with his music. I was like, all right, well, if that's that good, then
he's dope.
the rest of his music, yeah, he is. He's a
I
good
love that
lyricist.
I Don't Go Outside record.
Yeah,
That shit with Vince
I
Staples
don't
has
like
a
shit,
crazy
I
joint.
don't go outside, yeah.
Dude, Vince has a crazy joint on there.
Do you like the Raider Clan with what's his name? Not Smoke Perp.
A little bit.
Denzel Curry came from them.
People love Denzel Curry. I'm not as a big a fan as people are. Of
I
him.
like a few songs
okay.
here and there, but he changed up his style a little too much. Like I'm like one of those people that's like, I don't want the same type of music, but don't like jump styles like to the point where it's like, I don't know, like that's just my taste. I'm like really fickle.
It's like it depends how it's done. I like it, but I don't like it because the only reason I like it is because it shows evolution.
Yeah,
and it shows that you don't want to stay in the pocket. You want to evolve and go with the times and just reinvent yourself. So I appreciate it, but sometimes it's done in a way where it's like
not good.
It's no bueno.
Like,
you know what I mean?
The Diplomats when they tried to come back for the first time in like 12 years, and it was like fucking terrible. Yeah,
Dipset.
Yeah,
Damn.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Though. I love music, man. I could talk about that shit all fucking day.
An audiophile.
Absolutely. You have there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. You have some really interesting humor.
Yeah.
It's morbid, but it's funny and it reminds me of an era of my life which I love to revisit. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of 90s sketch comedy.
Okay.
Because in the 90s, not only sketch comedy, but actual stand-up comedy, there wasn't as much of a governor, if you will, on what can be said.
Yeah.
It was kind of fucking buck wild.
Yeah, you were allowed to do whatever the fuck you wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated sketch comedy shows, especially like, let's say, a mainstream one in Living Color.
I loved In Living Color.
Living Color is one of the best sketch comedy shows of all time.
Yeah.
And the crazy people they would imitate and stuff. Like a handyman.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you could never do that now.
No, you wouldn't be able to get away with that.
So a lot of your humor takes me back and reminds me of that era. What sketch comedy shows were you into, and were you actually into them as much as I was back in the day?
Actually, not really growing up, honestly. No. Comedy films and just humor in general has just always been like really important to me. For a long time, it was a defense mechanism. And then I realized I'm like, this is just fun. Like, I like making people laugh. It makes them have a good time with you. You know what I mean? You make friends easily that way. And then you have a good time as well. Like, I've never met a single person in my life that's like, I fucking hate laughing. But you know what I mean? Like, it's never happened. But I think the science of it is boiling everything down to its simplest form. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you're just like, this is so like absurd. I'm going to make a joke about it. So like, to me, the really dark humor is like a really good way to deal with the dark side of humanity. You know what I mean? Because if you could laugh about it, then at least for like 4 seconds, you're not like sweating over something. You know what I mean? But I was always a stand-up guy, and Opie and Anthony. I used to sneak watching a lot of HBO shit. Like, I watched Oz when I was 7. My mom had no idea.
Oz was so good.
Yeah.
At a BC.
Yeah, Execution Day.
I didn't
baby.
enjoy seeing all the cock in it, but besides the cock.
Yeah, but also at the time I was like 7. I wasn't supposed to be watching it, so I would see dribs and drabs when my mom wasn't around. But,
Oz was great, bro.
Yeah, and then rewatching as an adult, I'm like, what the fuck?
I haven't watched it as an adult.
Oh, you should now. J.K. Simmons playing the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood is insane. You would not be able to negotiate that logically.
I gotta watch it again, man.
Yeah, but it's always been stuff like that, like watching like George Carlin, stuff like that.
The best.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
So you're
easily
more
my
a stand-up
favorite comedian.
guy.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see Jim Norton.
Jim Norton's fire.
Always liked Opie and Anthony, Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace. One of the best to ever fucking touch a microphone.
Yeah. To me, right now, the GOAT is Shane Gillis. Mm-hmm. And my wife surprised us, and me, her, and my cousin are going to see Shane in March.
Nice.
He, to me, is the GOAT right now.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody touching him.
A lot of my intro to stand-up comedy in general, though, was through comedy movies, seeing like a lot of the stand-up comedians, and then like kind of like researching who they were, like Colin Quinn and fucking Night at the Roxbury.
Oh wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as the bodyguard, that's not funny at all.
Yeah,
like he's not a comedian at all in that movie. Or having Patrice O'Neal in The Office sporadically.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was one of the warehouse workers.
Yeah. A lot of Saturday Night Live people made movies. A lot of them.
Yeah, the Blues Brothers was a fucking excellent. It's so fucking funny. It's what is it? Yeah. First you lie to me about the band. Now you're gonna get me sent right back to the joint.
Oh man, yeah. But I was big into sketch comedy shows. Heavy. Yeah, that was like my thing, bro.
Saturday Night Live was your thing?
Nah, like more of the obscure, like the Comedy Central ones, like stuff that didn't live like past like 1 or 2 seasons. Do you remember the Ben Stiller show? You ever see that?
Yes, I do. Fire. I do. I remember that.
The Vacant Lot, really obscure one.
Oh wait, what is the one?
Strangers with Candy, fire.
Strangers with Candy was Mr. Show on HBO with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. Yeah,
Kids in the Hall is
Kids
legendary.
in the Hall was incredible. What is it? Trigger Happy TV.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Trigger Happy TV.
Summer Heights High.
Summer Heights High was a good one.
I love all that shit, bro. That's like my shit.
There's a lot of good animated ones too, or that were like animated hybrids of sketch comedy, like what is it? Shorties Watching Shorties.
Oh,
that used to be on Comedy Central. Where
I forgot about that.
A lot of those comedians that were on that show are big now, and the show fucking failed miserably. I don't get it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There's a lot of stuff, man. I love sketch comedy shows. Mad TV was cool.
Mad TV
and
was
Living Color was better, but.
And Living Color was better. And also Jim Carrey being like the only white guy in the cast at the time was incredible.
He was the best.
Oh,
he made great. That shit.
It was so good.
He's the best, bro.
Yeah, I love him. But, oh, wait, what was the other one? There was did you ever see Horace and Pete?
No.
It's a web show starring Louis C.K. and Steve Buscemi and Alan Alda.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love Steve.
That was made by Steve Buscemi and Louis C.K.
Louis dope.
Yeah, he is. I mean, you know, he had a little sketchy thing going on there for a while, but his comedy is incredible.
These fucking girls were letting him. I ain't fucking.
I went to go see Andrew Dice Clay in Atlantic City a few years ago, and he's like, yeah, and he went on about that because he loves Louis C.K. and he's like, you're mad that the fucking guy from the cover of Mad Magazine was jerking off? It was an incredible quote. I couldn't stop laughing, and then he made fun of some guy from being from Florida for like 30 minutes.
Dude, the Louis C.K. shit don't bother me. I don't feel he was he had a weird kink, right?
Yeah.
But he was like asking consent. It's not like he was fucking.
I according to I think like years removed, I don't think that like he did anything wrong because like I've read so many accounts. Like I really looked into it. I'm like, I refuse to believe Louis C.K. would like risk losing a career where as a stand-up comedian he's made like a lucrative like fucking nobody does that. Like George Carlin and like him and like Louis Black, like why
Louis
the fuck would he?
Is crazy. Louis Black's nuts.
I loved him in the movie fun. Accepted.
He's fun. Never saw it.
Oh, dude, where Justin Long starts a fake college. So his parents don't kick him out.
Justin Long's the cat in Jeepers Creepers, right?
Jeepers Creepers, yeah. And
Jeepers Creepers is good, bro.
What was the Walrus movie? Tusk.
You never saw Tusk.
Oh, Lord,
I know what you're talking about. I never saw it, though.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You got to see it,
Is
man.
it that good?
Yeah, it's good.
That was a Kevin Smith horror movie, right?
Yeah, it was stupid, but it's good.
I love Kevin Smith.
Did you ever see the Banana Splits horror movie?
No.
The fucking Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Yeah, they made a horror movie about it not long ago.
Really?
Yeah, where the banana splits are like these animatronics that kill people, like kind of like fucking.
What, like fucking Five Nights at Freddy?
Five Nights at Freddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it came out way before. Like Five Nights at Freddy was a conceptualized film.
That's coming out. That's coming out soon, right?
I saw it. No, it's out. Five Nights at Freddy movie was. It's a decent movie. Matthew Lillard's in it.
Is it like for kids or no?
Definitely, I would definitely not have a small child watch it. But I wouldn't say that like, you know, it's not rated R. It's a PG-13 film, but it's,
okay.
I definitely wouldn't have any children under the age of 10 watch it.
Okay.
So it does get a little like graphic in a way that like something that's geared, like a product that's been geared towards children for the most part for most of its existence before they switched gears suddenly.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's a scene in it where like they show like a rotating blade get very close to a guy's face and you hear him scream. That's not something that I would put in like You know what I mean? In a kid's,
My son wouldn't be able to watch that.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely not
He would
recommend
freak out.
Yeah, I would definitely not recommend he watches it.
Yeah, my son just started getting scared with like the dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, I'm scared of the darkness. Like we have like a night light on in his room all the time. If it goes off in the middle of the night and he wakes up and it's off, he starts crying. He's starting to get like,
Yeah.
it's his feelings are starting to develop.
Yeah, he's developing, like, he's
Senses and
neurologically
stuff.
developing.
Yeah,
his proprioceptors
it's
and
weird.
everything.
It's weird to see it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey, don't worry, man. With your collection, you'll fucking desensitize him to that in no time.
Well, dude, there's a Japanese. So when the Evil Dead remake came out, the first remake, there was a Japanese Blu-ray box set that came out, and it's basically of her coming out the fucking.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like a model of that.
Yeah.
It's just sitting in my entertainment room, and he's walked by since he was a kid. He doesn't care. But if he sees something on a movie, it's different. Like,
Yeah.
I tried to show him Spider-Man. When Spider-Man transitions after he gets bit,
Oh, okay.
he couldn't watch it.
Really?
Freaked him out. Because, he's in the room, like, the lightning's hitting. He's like,
Maybe he's an arachnophobe, though. That might be like something, because I developed arachnophobia. So I have like a really, all right. So, wait, no. Okay. No, never mind. The worst experience I ever had with acid. Hold on. I'm going to lead into that. We're going to go back to that for a second. So I used to have arachnophobia when I was a kid because I had a nightmare that a spider ran up and bit me. And then for some reason or another, I watched a sci-fi channel horror movie called Ice Spiders. It is a fucking terrible movie, but it was a fun... Ice Spiders? It is a fucking terrible movie where these giant spiders escape a laboratory and attack a nearby ski resort.
The fuck?
But for some reason, seeing the spiders in that movie and close-ups of their fangs and face, like, cured my arachnophobia for like a decade.
Really?
But have you ever been to Field of Screams in Pennsylvania?
No.
Field of Screams is like a horror attraction out in a cornfield. You know how like Pennsylvania has a lot of that?
I don't do that shit.
Okay. But Field of Screams is awesome. But we went the first time, and the hayride has this spider room where there's like animatronic spiders. But the first time I went, I couldn't see anything. So like my head was pushed down by like I was in the corner, like an animatronic. I happened to be in the spot where the animatronic like lands like right on the back of your head. So my head was pushed down and I couldn't see anything. So I wound up talking to the guy next to me that also was experiencing the same thing. So we were just chatting the whole time in the spider room. I didn't even get to experience it.
Oh man.
But the second time I was hitting my peak on acid and the spider room came about. And I had a massive fucking panic attack for the 30 seconds that it lasted. And I was like, I'm arachnophobic again. But then I was rewarded with this area that has like this tunnel. It's like a psychedelic tunnel. And it was great. This guy was like trying to fucking walk through the area, holding onto the railing like Ethan Frome. Like he just had his hip removed. It was incredible. But yeah, now I realize that I can't trip and be in anything with any kind of spiders. Like, they have to be fictitious spiders. A real spider won't bother me. They have to be like these like alien, like extra large, like I'm never going to see this unless I live in fucking the outback of Australia spider. You know what I mean? For some reason that scared the shit out of me when I was tripping.
Damn. But
then we went again this year and we had just smoked weed.
Oh, so you were fine.
And I was totally fucking fine. I was like, oh, look how cool that one is. Like it looked like did you ever play Killing Floor?
No, I never have.
Okay. In Killing Floor, these like humanoid spiders, and it looks like somebody made an animatronic out of that character, and it's awesome. And they play these like really like insecty noises like overhead. Like it's an awesome hayride. There's a pig room. We went on the blackout night where sometimes the people will take you and grab you and throw you into a different area. And they took this girl and dragged her by her fucking foot off the hayride and made her get in the next car away from the rest of her fucking friends. It was so fucking funny.
Oh,
it was
man.
great. And the guy made fun of me for wearing this Raiders coat that I'm wearing now. He like pointed me out. He was like, yeah, this guy knows how to count to 3 because that's the only time the Raiders have been in the Super Bowl. And I was like, I'm a Giants fan. I just don't like their gear.
You like them sports joints. You fuck with them old starter jackets at all?
Yeah.
Starter jackets.
I have one for the Hornets.
Oh, the Hornets ones were the best.
Yeah.
I have an OG Bulls one too.
I only have that. I only have that
90s.
Bulls jacket you've seen me with, the fucking championship one. And I have one for the Bengals as well.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't buy that one. That one was given to me.
I love starter jackets. The old school starter joints. Yeah. Love them.
You love that whole 80s, 90s era.
Yeah. 90s specifically.
Yeah.
I live for that shit. It's my favorite era.
That's why I gotta have you look at the toys that I have in storage.
Yeah, what's up, man? When we doing that?
I gotta get over there and like bag them all up.
Where is it?
So it's in my mom's storage unit in Wallington. But,
let's go.
But she needs to give me she needs to find the fucking key code to get in the elevator. Oh. So it's like in her card catalog. So like she hasn't gotten around to doing it. Yeah, I'll just bring them by. Like they're all bagged up.
Let's
and
go.
There. I just have to get them over here.
I need some of that stuff. Well, on that note, man, thank you very much for coming by. It was fun. Always fun talking to you.
Hell yeah.
We got to do this again sometime, my brother.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get it. Thank you for coming by, brother.
No problem, man.
Appreciate it.